Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
After a dozen seasons in the minor leagues, his boyhood dream was realized.
There's a big exhale.
His first career strikeout. A moment he will never forget. 2 weeks ago, Austin Bibens-Dirks finally arrived in the big leagues. Tonight, his feel-good story continues as a 32-year-old right-hander gets the nod and will make his first major league start. It's Bibens-Dirks continuing to live out his dream as he looks to help the Rangers take the rubber match against the Rays. Welcome to Rangers Baseball presented by AT&T. Beautiful Wednesday night here at Globe Life Park as Austin Bibens-Dirks making his first big league start tonight. He'll be happy to have Mike Napoli back in the lineup today as well. Rangers trying to take the final game of this three-game series and win the series against these Tampa Bay Rays. Welcome in, everybody. Great to be with you tonight. I'm Dave Raymond with Tom Grieve, and the Rangers last night were their biggest comeback of the year. They came back to win it in the late innings, got production all around the lineup, but in particular, Tom, the top of the order was very productive.
It was, Dave, and you mentioned production throughout the lineup, and to be a good team, you need that. But what drives a successful team is the top of the order, and the Rangers' top of the order is really looking good right now. Last night, Shin-Soo Choo had a leadoff home run. He walked a couple of times, had a sacrifice fly. Elvis drove in 5 runs in the 7th and 8th inning, and Nomar Mazara stayed hot in the month of May. Those 3 guys are really doing a great job at the top of the lineup. Elvis batting second last night, and the night before, 5 hits, knocked in 5, scored 3. The 2 games coincides with the return of his buddy, Adrian Beltre. He hit his 7th home run last night in our 53rd game. His career high is 8. So not only has he been the most consistent hitter all season long, showing more power than ever before.
So this lineup's been doing a real nice job. Now today they're going to have to try and continue it against Chris Archer, who has really bounced back nicely this year for the Rays.
Yeah, Chris Archer is one of the premier young pitchers in the league. The only thing that keeps him from being one of the top 5 is probably command. But you can see how dominating he can be. Most 10-plus strikeout games since 2015. He's right there with the best of them. 2015, he struck out 252 batters. He does it with a mid-90s fastball, but his devastating pitch is his slider, which reaches 92 miles an hour, and a slider which he throws about 40% of the time. Right-hand hitters are particularly vulnerable to Chris Archer because of that slider.
And no doubt we'll be getting to that in much greater depth in the broadcast tonight. Nomar Mazara, by the way, what a month of May he has had, and in particular here at home. He's in the spotlight when we come back. Rangers Baseball is brought to you by AT&T Internet. Visit AT&T.com/keepcalm to learn more. And by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Final game in this series, the Rangers and the Rays, and you're looking at the guy who everybody's been talking about the last couple of days. Austin Bibens-Dirks making his first big league start tonight against Tampa Bay. But the other guy who lately has been on fire for this team, that's Nomar Mazara. Time now for our Shiner Light Blonde Spotlight. Nomar's been playing real well.
Yeah, and as you watch him take his swings, notice all the different type pitches he's hitting. Fastballs up and in, off-speed pitches that are hanging, but also pitches down and away that are pretty good pitches. He's hitting everything they throw up there right now. In his last 9 home games, he's hit close to 500. In the month of May, one of the candidates for player of the month with the numbers he's put up, a .344 average. He's hit 10 doubles, on base percentage over 40%. In his last 18 games, he's hitting .377. So he was hot at the beginning, tailed off just a little bit. But boy, in the month of May, he has reheated up and swinging the bat well, hitting the ball to left field, right field, center field, you name it, batting third, getting the job done.
Well, a chance tonight for the Rangers, should they win on this final day of May, to go in to June with a .500 record. And you look at what they have done here at home lately. That's the last homestand, and now into this homestand, 9-1 over their last 10 games. Hitting the ball well, getting on base, a little power mixed in there as well. And it's been working. And they hope to give some run support tonight to that young man, Austin Bibens-Dirks. So he's ready to go. Let's take a look at the lineup that he will see. The Rays, 28 wins, 27 losses. Corey Dickerson has had a huge month, a huge first 2 months of this year for the Rays. Kevin Kiermaier lately has really been swinging it well. This is a tough lineup, up and down, top to bottom. They present a lot of problems. Tim Beckham has made some noise in this series down there at the bottom of the order. Derek Norris back in there catching and batting 8th today.
And we'll look at the pitches featured by Austin Bibens-Dirks. He throws the 4-seam fastball and the 2-seam fastball together a little bit less than 50% of the time. A lot of sliders, 32%, curveballs and changeups. So he's about 50-50 fastballs and off-speed pitches. He's a pitcher that has to mix his pitches up, hit his spots, and depend on his defense. And in his brief time in the big leagues, he's done a nice job of that. The Rangers defense is delivered to you by New Braunfels Convention and Visitors Bureau. Jared Hoying gets the start in center field. Shin-Soo Choo is in right field. Adrian Beltre has half a night off. He'll DH tonight. Joey Gallo moves back to third base from first base. Mike Napoli is back in the lineup at first. Jonathan Lucroy is behind the plate. Nomar Mazara over in left field. And up the middle, as usual, Elvis Andrus and Rougned Odor.
Well, good to see Napoli back out there again today after missing the last 2 games, at least not in the starting lineup at first base the last 2 days because of those back spasms. Better today. Off day tomorrow for him as well. Good time to get him in the lineup this evening, get him a little rest again tomorrow, and try and keep him healthy because he's been a big part of why the Rangers have played so much better in the month of May than they did in April. So we're set to go tonight. Austin Bibens-Dirks, 32 years old, making his first big league start. And he becomes the oldest pitcher in Rangers history at the time of his first major league start. In fact, the second oldest Texas starter this year, Cole Hamels at 33, is the senior member of the rotation, currently on the disabled list. He talked a little bit there. There's Cole continuing to work his way back. Austin's talked a little bit lately. When he came up, called up by the Rangers, he had to sit around in that bullpen for 10 days before finally getting that opportunity to get in a game. A lot of nerves. He says he worked his way through them as he starts us off with strike 1 tonight.
He had to wait a long time, Dave, to get in a game, and once he got in a game, he couldn't stop getting in games. He was used a lot through a lot of pitches and worked himself right into the rotation tonight. So the long wait was well worth it.
1 strike pitch to Dickerson out of the zone. Well, you mentioned his last time out. He went 4 innings in relief. That was in Toronto. And he did a really nice job. Allowed 3 runs on 4 hits through 84 pitches. In the week, he threw 179. So they had to wait really to see if his arm would rebound well enough to make this start, as this one lined out to center field and caught waist high by Hoying. So there we'll see what happened Friday for Austin.
He gave up 3 runs in 4 innings, but he only walked 1 and struck out 5. He had pretty good stuff that day. Thought he pitched well.
Yeah, that was the game he had to come in early. A.J. Griffin left with the left intercostal strain and subsequently went on the disabled list. 1 away, and here's Kevin Kiermaier. And he's swinging at the first pitch. A little pop-up down the first baseline. And Napoli tucks it away. 2 gone. Well, you take that start, you know, part of it when you come out and you're battling some nerves perhaps. He's had a number of outings now and can be a little more relaxed, but I'm sure he was nervous in just a slightly different way coming into today.
No doubt about it. I think for a pitcher, especially one like Austin getting his first big league start, the worst thing that can happen is you have a long pitch count in your first at bat and the guy gets on base. 7 or 8 pitches and he gets on base. Now you start to worry a little bit. So to throw 4 or 5 pitches and get 2 outs, that's a great start to this game. Takes a little bit of that edge off. But I imagine he's going to have somewhat of an edge and somewhat of an adrenaline flow the entire game, getting at age 32 his first big league start. There you go.
Soft liner to Andrus, and it's a 1-2-3. Top of the first inning for Austin Bibens-Dirks. Great start. Tonight, Austin Bibens-Dirks, scoreless top of the first. Now the Rangers to go to work. Let's take a look at the Southwest starting lineup. Rangers coming in 26 and 27, and a familiar looking lineup. Chu at the top. Adrian Beltre, the DH today. Get him off his feet a little bit after 2 games back off the disabled list. He'll be batting cleanup. Joey Gallo on a 5-game hitting streak now. This game, by the way, will take us 1/3 of the way through the season.
Take a look at the arsenal for Chris Archer. Pretty much 4-seam fastball, slider. He'll mix in some changeups, but it's a pitch in development stages right now. Basically, you're going to see a mid-90s fastball. Sometimes he'll make it sink by throwing it with 2 seams, but basically when he wants to get you out or strike you out, it's generally going to be a slider.
Chu offering at the first pitch. Fly ball out there to Kiermaier, 1 away.
We'll take a look at the Rays defense, and it's an excellent defense in the outfield. Colby Rasmus, we mentioned last night, has been a center fielder. He's playing left field. Kevin Kiermaier, two-time Gold Glover. Steven Souza, a very solid defensive player in right field. It's Tim Beckham, Daniel Robertson up the middle. The veteran Evan Longoria at third. Logan Morrison off to an excellent start this year playing first base. And behind the plate is Derek Norris.
Well, Archer gets the first out of the evening for him on one pitch. And now here is Elvis Andrus. Elvis at 288 coming in now. You mentioned it in the open. You know, he's on this nice little run, a 6-game hitting streak. Picked up 5 RBIs last night and has looked really good the last couple of days. And that happens to coincide with his buddy Adrian Beltre back in the dugout and in uniform.
You think Elvis was just showing off the last couple of days for Adrian? I know he felt good when he launched that ball to the back of the bullpen. That 3-run homer went, I would guess, 415, 420 feet. Elvis used to hit him down the line in left field about 350 feet. Last couple of years, he's graduated, and the home runs, a little bat flip right there. That one's all the way to the back of the bullpen over the 390 sign. That was great to see.
Archer walks him on 4 straight pitches. So Andrus is on. Omar Mazara coming up, and that puts Adrian Beltre into that on-deck circle now.
You know, I think, Dave, that Elvis has earned the right. Been in the big leagues, what, 8 years, 7, 8, 9 years? And up until the last couple of years, he hasn't hit balls like that, so bat flip has never been in his repertoire. In fact, one day he went into his home run trot a little bit too early. Ball stayed in the park, and he heard from Adrian Beltre for the rest of the game. So that at this stage of his career, when he launches one like that, a modest bat flip is certainly acceptable. I don't blame him. He knew he hit that good. And then you combine it with the time of the game, late in the ball game, down by 3. Hit your best bolt like that to tie the game. I'm all for it.
Now on with 1 out. And Mazara, we talked just a little bit ago about how Nomar has been making contact lately. How about 7 for his last 14? Bouncer through into right field. Andrus, with his good speed, makes the turn easily and heads to third. They're on the corners with 1 out.
Well, it's funny, when you're going well, those ground balls are base hits. When you're 14 for 72 and you're struggling, everything is caught. Morrison jumps off, fields that ball, and who knows, maybe turns a double play. But when you're hitting 370 or 380 in your last 3 weeks, you put a ball in play like this, and it just barely eludes the first baseman. So it's first and third now. This might be a spot where you see Archer go to his slider and try to get the strikeout. Second in the league with 88 strikeouts. Got a right-hand hitter at the plate, man on third with less than 2 outs.
Now Beltre's 3rd game back tonight as the DH. He's had a hit in each of the first 2 contests.
And that's his slider. A lot of guys will throw a cutter at 90 miles an hour, 92 miles an hour, and maybe call it a slider, but that is a slider. There's a lot of depth to that. It goes down. It's a pretty big breaking pitch to go 90 or 92 miles an hour.
1-1 to Beltre.
You know, we've seen Matt Bush develop a cutter, slider, whichever you want to call it, at as high as 90 miles an hour. And the other day it was as high as 92 or 93 miles an hour. So you think of Mariano Rivera having probably the premier cutter, and it got up to the mid-90s. Chris Archer is in the low 90s with his, and it breaks a little bit more.
Boy, this ball hit well out to center field. Kiermaier is back there and will make the catch at the track, but it's deep enough. Andrus able to trot home from third, and the Rangers are on the board first.
Well, he threw him a couple of sliders and then a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and Adrian hit it pretty well to right center field. Not well enough to get over the fence, but certainly well enough to get the run in, hit it solidly, and feel great about that at bat. Rangers earlier in the year squandered a lot of chances with men on third base and less than 2 outs.
Yeah, when they were struggling offensively, that is the exact situation.
Couldn't get it in.
Yep.
So it's nice to have Adrian back in that situation. That's a situation he generally thrives in.
Well, the inning continues for Odor now, and he takes a strike. Odor at 207, 7 home runs. He was collared last night in 4 trips to the plate, and that put an end to an 8-game hitting streak. One and one the count. And not only did he have the 8-game hitting streak, but he had reached base safely, hit or a walk in 14 straight. And though that average doesn't jump off the page at anybody, it has been on the ascent lately. And he taps one out over the mound. That one will be grabbed by Beckham, the shortstop, and he hustles it over to first in time. Inning is over, but the Rangers do get on the board first. The sac fly by Adrian Beltre. We go to the 2nd inning. Rangers lead 1-0.
Ladies and gentlemen, record yesterday.
With the lead as we go to the 2nd inning. Logan Morrison to lead things off. For a little more on our starter tonight, Austin Bibens-Dirks. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, Dave, our State Farm winning combination tonight, the unique last name of Austin Bibens-Dirks. Asked him yesterday about the origin of that name, where it came from. He said, I got it from my mom because Bibens, rather, is her maiden name, and Dirks is her stepfather's name. So early on in his life, she changed his name to Austin Bibens-Dirks. I asked him how many times that name had been mispronounced or misspelled, and he said, you have no idea how many times it's been mispronounced and or misspelled. And he said, as a matter of fact, I've had it wrong on jerseys at times, but luckily they've all been corrected in time for the game, guys.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, Emily. 2-0 to Logan Morrison. Takes up a lot of the back of that uniform for Bibens-Dirks. And you know, it is one of those things, you like the last part of that, D-I-R-K-X.
Yep.
Never seen that combination.
No.
This ball hit hard out to right field. A base hit for Morrison. Oh, that one gets by Chu. Morrison to second, and he's going to keep running. Chu just now picks it up at the base of the fence, and Morrison into third base. That'll be a hit and a 2-base error on Shin-Soo Chu.
Well, it was a very hard hit ball, and it really wasn't necessary to charge it or try to make any kind of a play. If anything, go down on one knee to try to block it. Well, that's pretty much what he was trying to do. The ball just took a hop and got by him. Looked like he might have overcharged it, but took a couple of steps in, got in position to catch it, and just wasn't able to keep it in front of him. A hard hit single turns into a single and a two-base error.
So Morrison just 90 feet away. And the fifth place hitter, Steven Souza Jr. This ball hammered out to left field, and it is gone. Wow. That was a blast by Souza, and it makes it 2-1 Tampa Bay.
Well, we've seen a lot of Steven Souza, especially the first game when he had 4 hits with a couple of doubles. Souza has his average up to around 280, and that's his 10th home run. He jumps on a first pitch fastball. He knows it's gone. He just wants to take a couple of slow steps so he can watch it disappear in left field. You could tell by the crack of the bat that ball was hit hard. All the way back to the restaurant, top of the restaurant in left field.
The Rangers aren't the only ones who have seen a lot of Steven Souza lately. That's his 5th home run now in the last 8 games. Colby Rasmus now swings and misses at a strike.
It makes the error in right field insignificant.
Well, that's the silver lining, I guess. Rasmus at 250. 6 homers, 18 RBIs. That's his ball out to right field. Chu ranging to his right. 1 away. Well, now trails by a run, but still plenty of time to get himself right. Taking a look at the long road for Austin Bibens-Dirks. 12 years, 318 games in the minor leagues, all the different organizations, the independent league stints. He told me the other day, Tom, that the time in the Venezuelan and Dominican winter leagues, well, I always think that those are organizations sending guys down there to develop on something. He went down looking for work.
If you go to Venezuela, I never played in the Dominican, but I can speak from experience. 5 years in Venezuela. If you go down there to get some work in, you're going to get sent home in about a week or 10 days. That is very competitive. And I saw a comment he made where he learned to handle pressure by pitching in the winter leagues, and that's a good point. I won't compare it to the big leagues, but to every Venezuelan fan or Dominican fan that goes to a game down there, it is their big leagues, and those games are every bit as important to them as our games are as important to our fans. And you go to the playoffs or you have a playoff contending team, and if you're not playing well, it's like being in Philadelphia. They'll come down hard on you. They'll also carry you off the field if you have a good game too. So I think you can learn a lot by playing in winter ball. You're away from home. It's a little bit of adverse conditions, but the fans love baseball. The players love baseball. All you have to do is watch Venezuelan players play over here. Elvis, Rugned, Robinson. They have a love for the game, a passion for the game, and so do the fans. And I loved playing over there for 5 years, and I'm sure that Austin would say the same thing. But you have to perform, or they'll send you home. You don't get a free pass there for sure. We played 4 games one year. Rich Billings was our manager, and after 4 games, I think I was 3 for 16. And they had a cartoon in the paper. They had an airplane with steps leading up to the airplane, and they had a player with 1 foot on the plane and 1 foot off the plane. And it was me with my number. In other words, 3 for 16. You go 0 for 4 tonight. Put that other foot on the plane and get out of here. So that was my first year there. I learned right off the bat, boy, it wasn't. You're not going to the instructional league, or you're not guaranteed playing time. You're going down there to perform.
How'd you do that night?
I don't remember, but I didn't get sent home, so I think I turned it around at least enough to stay there.
Full count pitch. to Beckham, and his bounce just wide of the bag at third, foul.
We had an outfielder at one time. I can't even remember which one it was, but he was playing okay but not great, and the owner of our team came up to Rich Billings, who was managing our team, and he said, what do you think about, I don't even remember, I'll say Bob Smith. Well, he's getting better. He's he's going to improve. I like him. I'm happy with him in the lineup. And he said, well, what do you think about Oscar Gamble? Well, Oscar Gamble wasn't there. Oscar Gamble wasn't in Venezuela. He said, well, I love Oscar Gamble. He's a great player. And he said, good. Oscar, come here. And Oscar was already there. And he introduced him to Rich. He was in the lineup that night. And the other guy got sent home. So I don't think it really mattered what Rich said. Oscar Gamble was going to play anyway. But, yeah, I think anyone that's played winter ball in any of the Latin leagues has great stories to tell after playing down there. And most of them are happy stories and very positive.
Now, Roogie was the other day when we were in Toronto, the first day of that series against the Blue Jays. A lot of media huddled around, and they asked him about the rivalry with the Blue Jays and the intensity of the series. And he, at some point, really kind of laughed it off. And he said, "Yeah, come to Venezuela, check it out in the winter.
Yeah,
you want to know intense? That's intense."
He's right too. He's right. When Caracas plays Magallanes, when Caracas plays La Guaira, there's packed houses, there's music in the stands, and there are rabid fans, boy. And they cheer for those games like it's the Cubs versus the Cardinals, the Yankees versus the Red Sox. Just as avid, and the rivalries is just as bitter. So I've seen that, what Roogie's talking about. He's not exaggerating.
He said, maybe half the capacity. Maybe it'd be 25,000.
Yeah.
He said it'd be full
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be loud.
I think the stadium in Caracas probably seats maybe 35,000, and the other stadiums somewhere between 15 and 23 or 24,000.
Beckham at first base for the Rays, one out here. A two-run homer earlier in the inning by Steven Souza. The Rays have answered that first inning run from the Rangers.
I'll give you an idea, and I've told this story a lot of times, and whenever someone doesn't believe it, I bring a scrapbook that my wife kept to prove it to them. When we made the playoffs for the first time Zulia had ever made the playoffs, we did that in Caracas, and when our plane landed in Maracaibo, there was over 50,000 people on the runway when the plane landed. Now, obviously, they weren't in the way of the plane when it landed, but they were outside the building on the tarmac. And when the players came down off the plane, you never touched the ground. The fans just carried the players
Come on.
into the terminal. So we get into the terminal. We had one child then. He was probably 6 months old, 7 months old. And we got there. You couldn't move. That's how packed it was. And I found my wife. She's in the corner crying, holding the baby like this. And Cookie Rojas was on our team, and Cookie said, "Come with me." So I grabbed her, and we followed Cookie. And he had a guy that had a Jeep out in back of the airport, and he went through the airport in the back of the runway. There was an entrance, a back entrance, and we got out. And that's how we got home after that. And there was people, when they got toward the airport, they couldn't get there. There's too many cars. They just left their cars on the street. It was like a parking lot, and there was over 50,000 people there. So that's probably more than you wanted to know
That is
about
not even
Venezuela.
close.
But when Roogie's talking about rivalries and how intense the feelings are in Venezuela, I've seen that firsthand. Now, that was a long time ago. That was 40 years ago. And I'm not sure what it's like now, but I can speak to what it was like back then. And there were great Venezuelan players, and they all went back and played. Cesar Tovar, Vic Davalillo, Manny Trio, Baudilio Diaz, David Concepcion.
A swing and a miss by Norris. First strikeout of the night for Bibens-Dirks, 2 away.
Not many of the big league players go back and play now, but they all did back then. Yeah, good slider, good cutter right on the outside corner got Norris. Second out of the inning. Austin had a 6-pitch first inning. This one's a little bit longer. Trying to get out of this inning, having only given up a couple of runs.
Yeah, I think you'd be pretty happy with that. After he'd given up the single, the 2-base error, and the home run, to get out with just 2 runs allowed would be a good recovery. The 9th place hitter, Daniel Robertson, now steps in.
I just have to top that Venezuela story off with one more. When we made the playoffs, the night we made the playoffs, that night a baby was born in Maracaibo, and the picture was in the paper the next day. The last name of the baby was Palomar, P-A-L-O-M-A-R, and it was a little boy, and they named it Richard Billings Palomar in honor of Rich Billings, who was our catcher manager, and they were so happy that the Zulia Eagles made the playoffs that they named their son after Rich Billings. That was pretty amazing.
That is beyond amazing. Off the plate, the count 2-1 on Robertson. Robertson hitting .206. Now, he was a factor last night. Homered in the 3rd inning. Had a base hit later on in the 7th. Also batting 9th last night. Long hold by Bibens-Dirks, and his 2-1 pitch swung on and missed. Well, he had 7 trips in the winters to go play ball in Venezuela, the Dominican. Bibens-Dirks was just looking for a team to pick him up, maybe discover him in winter ball and give him a job the next year. And he is a guy who has fought so hard over the years to keep that uniform on. And the 2-2 got him swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts of Norris and Robertson, and Bibens-Dirks gets out of the 2nd inning. We played 1.5. The Rays lead it 2-1.
Work to do, trailing the Rays 2-1 here in the bottom of the 3rd or bottom of the 2nd rather. And our progressive fan of the game tonight, catching her first major league action, an exchange student from Germany, Bianca Kleeman. Bianca, what do you think of baseball so far?
It's really big and different, and we don't have it at home, so I'm pretty excited to be here.
And the most important question, who are you rooting for tonight?
The Rangers, of course.
Very good answer, Bianca. Congratulations. Enjoy the game in baseball.
Thank you.
Well, that's cool. I always wonder what it would be like to come from another country that does not have baseball and to come to a baseball game and try and understand it, right?
You know what would be fun? To be the person that brought that person to the game so you could sit there for 9 innings and kind of explain the game to them. That would be fun. It would take a lot of games before you really had a feel for exactly what was going on, though. It's pretty easy to figure out. You try to go around the bases and touch home plate to score a run, but a few subtleties in between would be hard to teach.
Lucroy leading off the second inning. 0-2 the count quickly from Chris Archer. Well, Archer can still bring it 97 miles per hour with that last fastball. He's 28 years old and a somewhat slender right-hander. They list him at 6'2", 195. This ball hit well out to center field. Kiermaier plays it fairly shallow, but able to get back in plenty of time. And that is out number 1. Well, MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Go to MLB.TV for details. One out. And now Gallo. Gallo's 16 home runs, second in the American League. 33 RBIs. He's among the top 10 in the league, though, in runs, slugging percentage, etc. It's been a very good start to the year. Today, Gallo back at third base.
Joey's hit 16 home runs and has 20 other hits, singles, doubles, and triples.
Yeah, he swings hard.
Great slugging percentage, 7th in the league slugging percentage wise. His last 8 games, well over 300, swinging the bat really well. This is a good challenge for anybody, but certainly a young hitter. That's the slider that strikes out a whole lot of people. 90 miles an hour, and it just doesn't go sideways a couple of inches. It goes sideways and down as well. Hard to throw a pitch that breaks like that, 90 miles an hour or harder.
Well, he strikes out Gallo on that slider. 2 away. We'll bring up Mike Napoli now. Our Kubota power stats. Archer always very good at accumulating strikeouts. Only 2 guys in big league history have had multiple years of at least 225 strikeouts and a losing record. Nolan Ryan did that 3 times. That was the thing about Ryan's career. He didn't win as much as folks would have expected, or at least he took a lot of losses, did not get a lot of run support. It was as dominant and overpowering a pitcher as there was. Napoli, 194 average. And he takes 2-0. Well, every year there's talk about the Rays, at least in recent years, who they might deal at the trade deadline, who might be available for teams in contention. And a foul tip by Napoli makes it 2-1. Archer, he's in the 4th year of a 6-year deal with the Rays. And I don't know. There'll be a lot of people who'd be very interested.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have a hard time finding people that'll give up a lot of young players for him. 2 more years left on a contract at very reasonable numbers too. You know, you read a lot about that Chris Archer is a tradable commodity. Well, of course he is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Tampa Bay is out there trying to trade him. It just means if you're looking for a starting pitcher, he's a guy you'd love to have.
Slider in there for a strike, and it's a full count on Napoli.
He's 28 years old, kind of entering the prime of his career. Hasn't been hurt. Averaged 33 starts the last 3 years, so he's durable. Thrown 100 pitches in 20 straight starts. I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep this guy.
Brings it at 98 right there to get his second strikeout of the night. We go to the third. As we go to the third inning, and a little note, we're going to be lighting up the night skies on Friday. It's going to be a superhero post-game fireworks show coming out to the ballpark Friday night. Rangers and Astros, first game of that 3-game series, and then afterward a fireworks show set to superhero themed music. Don't forget to wear your Rangers red. We're going to run out the ballpark. TexasRangers.com or 972 Rangers for tickets. Top of the order in this third inning, Corey Dickerson, who flied out in the first, and a good bender in there for strike one. Dickerson leading the American League with the .346 average coming in, 5th in the league with a .390 on base. He fouls it away. Time now for AARP's Getting to Know Corey Dickerson. So since the All-Star break last year, his 64 extra base hits, that's 4th most in baseball. And I bet if you ask like really avid baseball fans, Tom, around the country, outside of, let's say, Tampa, and maybe even in Tampa, give them the top 5 in extra base hits since the All-Star break last year, I would guess 1 out of 1,000 might include Corey Dickerson.
Yeah. You know, we have stats every time we play the A's on Chris Davis over a certain period of time, who's hit the most home runs or knocked in the most runs in Major League Baseball. I'm not sure where he is now, top 2 or 3 probably in the last year and a half. And I think that's another one that would probably surprise a lot of people.
It's been a special year so far for Dickerson. And we pointed this out on Monday, the opening game of the series. When you look out at what the Rangers do defensively against him, it tells you in some ways all you need to know. He goes foul pole to foul pole with power. I think then yesterday we showed the spray chart and where his hits have gone, and it's just stunningly even all the way around the field.
Yeah, and how about the pitches that he hit in yesterday's game? That's about as evenly as you can get it. If he gets a base hit to left field, it'll be perfectly symmetrical. But yesterday, a ball bounced about 6 inches in front of his bat. He hit it on a bounce to left field for a base hit, and then later in the game, he hit a pitch that was about 6 inches off the ground on a line into right field for a base hit. So when you see him get hits on those kind of pitches, it's really not shocking that he's having the kind of year he is.
You know, there was always that thing about left-handed hitters that low and in is where they really like it. They seem to drop the head of the bat quickly, and golf balls pretty well to the pull side. Look at that.
That's the one that bounced. It looks like a joke.
Now he's shown us great ability to hit low in the zone. I don't know have we seen him pitched up very much. I guess well, there you go.
Well,
he can't hit that one.
In the first game against Martin Perez, I know he hit a fastball about belt high and in on a line to left field. So I think he's, I don't know that those pitches he hit yesterday were pitches that you would normally even want to swing at, let alone get hits on. But I think when you're a third of the way through the season, pitchers have probably tried a lot of different things with him. And where he is right now is the leading hitter in the league. So right now, I think he's probably handling a little bit of everything. And the thing that makes it working so well for him is that he's not intimidated at all by left-handed pitching. Against left-handed pitching, he's hitting over 370. He's actually hitting higher against left-handed pitching than he is right-handed pitching.
9th pitch of the at bat, and he'll spoil it foul to see a 10th. And we flied out in the first inning. He's the DH tonight for the Rays. And for all the great numbers he's put up, you mentioned the splits lefty righty. He's crushed it on the road, a 384 average away from home. Payoff pitch, and he hits this one out to right center field, and it drops in. That's a base hit and more. Dickerson cruises to second, and he's on with the leadoff double.
Well, that at bat's kind of the hallmark of a really good hitter. A patient at bat. He fouled off a lot of pitches, some of them pretty tough pitches. And then eventually in the at bat, he gets one that he likes. Fastball out over the plate. And he drives it into the gap. That pitch might have been outside. It was definitely on the outside corner and tailing away from him. But he's still able to cover the plate and not only make contact, but make very solid contact. So at least a third of the way through the season in these 3 games, he's been one of the more impressive hitters we've seen.
Their lineup has looked pretty good. They lead 2-1 at the moment. That's the 6th double they've hit in this series. They have 12 extra base hits overall. And this one lifted high in the air, foul, out of play. Long strike on Kiermaier. Kiermaier popped up in the first. Yesterday, he had a triple, a home run, and a sacrifice bunt. You see right there, the guy who has gotten hot lately for the Rays. Chases that one though, the count 0-2. Austin Bibens-Dirks in his 3rd inning of work tonight, his first major league start. Had a perfect first inning, gave up a couple of runs there in the second. Now a ball and 2 strikes on Kiermaier. Kiermaier with 5 home runs. Now he's not a huge power threat, just a terrific defensive center fielder, very good speed. But his 5 home runs, all of them have come on the road this year. And he lays off that one. 2-2. Rays, we mentioned at the outset, they're a game over 500. 5 games out of first place in the East Division, trailing the Yankees. What is becoming a rather tightly bunched American League East. Bouncer first base. Napoli will go to the bag himself. That takes care of Kiermaier. 1 away in the inning. But Dickerson over there to third base. So with one out, Evan Longoria coming up. And we're going to take a Chevy game break and send it back to John Radigan.
Third baseman Evan Longoria.
I was just going to say, John, I mentioned that it looks like a tightly bunched American League East, and that might be just because of our own perspective. I mean, this division that the Rangers are in right now, the Astros are so far out in front. I mean, anything inside double-digit leads looks like a tightly bunched division. That is crazy what they have been able to do. This ball ripped out into left field. That's a base hit for Longoria. Dickerson to the plate, and it's a 3-1 Rays lead. All right, our show stopper tonight, and it is the Houston Astros. John Radigan just talking about this. Look at, some of these numbers are just absurd. 2 nights ago they scored 11 runs in the 8th inning and 3 in the 9th. Today, every time I turned around and looked at the TV screen here at the ballpark, it's another highlight of the Astros scoring runs.
Well, the one thing that I think everybody said about the Astros at the beginning of the year was that they have a tremendous lineup, but they weren't deep in the rotation. And they're finding out that they're going to have some different guys in the rotation. Dallas Keuchel was on the disabled list. He's back now, but he missed a start. But Charlie Morton went on the disabled list. Joe Musgrove is hurt right now, 2 of their starting pitchers. But no matter who starts for them, if you score runs at the rate they're scoring runs, it really doesn't matter. You can kind of work around your 6th, 7th, and 8th starting pitchers if you're scoring 7 or 8 runs a game like they are. They have an offense that's really gelled right now.
They will be the Rangers' opponent this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And at the moment, anyway, scheduled to send Dallas Keuchel, Lance McCullers, and then Brad Peacock. Two and one to Logan Morrison, who singled in the 2nd inning and scored the first run of the night for the Rays. Morrison, a couple of home runs shy of 100 for his career. He's had 9 homers this month, though, to put him among the league leaders. That's 3-1. (20 pitches in this inning for Bibens-Dirks, 23 last inning. After a very quick and efficient first inning. And there's ball 4. Lucroy will immediately head out to the mound. The walk puts 2 men on, and here comes Doug Brocail as well. Mentioned it in the first inning, Tom, that whatever butterflies might have existed, nerves coming into making his first major league start, it sure would help get a couple of outs recorded quickly, which he did. In fact, used 6 pitches in that first inning, got 3 outs. Unfortunately for Bibens-Dirks, the 2nd inning started to go sideways on him just a little bit. In fact, this guy, Steven Souza Jr., with the real big blow.
They got a fastball middle of the plate, slightly on the inside part of the plate, and hit almost on top of the windows in the restaurant down the left field line. And that sound, crack of the bat, you can tell that hit right in the center of the barrel, jumped off his bat.
Oh, that time out in front of a changeup. Souza with 10 home runs now for the year. How about that? Last week, basically, he has been awfully good. He's 6 for 10 in the series with 2 home runs.
Souza's a pretty high strikeout guy, but he's also a pretty high walk guy. His average on the season about 280. His on base percentage is over 390. He's in the top 10 in the league in on base percentage because he's walked 30 times.
Two runners out there for him in the 1-1. That's very high. 2-1 the count. We talked about it on Monday night. Souza's a character. He's one of the guys in that Rays dugout everybody seems to really enjoy. He made a wacky play on Sunday when they were in that 15-inning game against the Twins. Really almost hysterical defensive effort on a ball he feels or said later that he lost in the lights. This ball lifted high in the air left field. Going to advance anybody. Mazara coming in. They're 2 away.
But you know, he may have lost this ball in the lights, but most guys, when they lose the ball in the lights, shy away, put their hands on their head to get out of the way. He may have lost that in the lights, but he was diving in the right direction anyway. Kiermaier loves it. He watched the replay.
That right there.
Stevens going, that's a little bit of a sheepish smile right there. What was I doing on that play?
So, obviously pretty good sense of humor about himself.
Exactly. And, even if he dove and missed it, he knew that Kiermaier was going to be there to get it anyway. So he brightened the lives of 25 of his teammates with that, and a bunch of fans in Minnesota gave him a nice ovation when he came to the plate.
Kobe Rasmus now. So last year when we were in Tampa Bay, I was talking to Kevin Kiermaier, and I want to say we were there in August, late August last year. Early August, the Rays were playing Kansas City. Got shut down by Danny Duffy. I think he hit him in the opening game of that series. The next day during batting practice, Souza was out there and hanging out with his buddies. And so he saw this guy wearing a Royals uniform, went over to talk to him. He was like, man, you were awesome last night. That was unbelievable. And talked to him for like 5-10 minutes about what a great game he pitched. But it wasn't Danny Duffy. It was Alex Gordon.
And Gordon just let him talk?
And Gordon he kept talking to him, and Gordon was looking at him like, what is going on? And then finally he walked away. And Gordon felt like, was that guy mocking me?
Gordon says, hey, I went 0 for 4 last night.
And then, of course, when he turned around, all his teammates were watching it, just laughing hysterically at
That's pretty funny.
his antics. Now, fly ball into right field, and Chu puts it away. The inning is over. Couple of Rays left out on the bases, only one allowed by Bibens-Dirks. We go to the bottom of the third. advantage as we head to the bottom of the third. And by the way, coming up in a couple of weeks, beginning June 15th, all the great players in the world descend upon Aaron Hills for one of golf's most anticipated events of the year. Dustin Johnson trying to defend his title. It's the 117th U.S. Open. It begins June 15th on Fox, Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Jared Hoying, ninth place hitter, will lead things off in this third inning against Chris Archer, and then Archer will have his second look at this Rangers lineup. A 3-1 Tampa Bay lead. So far, Archer with a couple of strikeouts. He got Gallo and Napoli last inning. That gives him 53 now for the month of May. And that's a new franchise record for the month of May for Tampa Bay. The most in any one month. David Price struck out 54 hitters in June of 2014. So Archer one more to tie that. Not a huge record, but it has been a real big strikeout year for Archer. 88 coming into the game today, and that is second most in the American League.
And the other thing that'll probably happen after today is he'll lead the league in innings pitched. The biggest workhorse for a starting pitcher. Mentioned earlier that every start this year he's thrown at least 100 pitches.
I think that's a probably a much bigger point too, as he gets a strikeout of Hoying, one away in the third inning. So Chris Archer, how about this, third most strikeouts in the big leagues since 2015. Max Scherzer and Chris Sale, the only pitchers with more. And that's after a real down year last year for Archer. And part of it's a point you make, Tom. Since June 1st of 2013, when it was recalled from the minor leagues and stuck for good in the big leagues, since that point, nobody has made more starts than he has. 133 starts.
Yeah, he's a durable guy. Last 3 years, he's averaged over 200 innings and over 220 strikeouts. In 2015, he struck out 252.
High to chew. Count of 1-1.
We can go online and find pretty much any biographical information that exists on a player. And it was interesting looking over some of the quotes about Chris Archer. Very community oriented. But the commissioner, Rob Manfred, had something very nice to say about him. He said, from our perspective, Chris Archer may be the ideal major league player. He's articulate, he's inquisitive, he's community oriented, and he loves the game. And when you look through his bio in the Rays media guide, there's pages devoted to all the things he does in the community, charity work, mentoring kids. Pretty extraordinary guy.
Yep, and I think, you know, and he plays the game with, obviously with an intensity and energy, but there's just sort of a positive vibe that seems to emanate off him.
Yeah, there is. He's got a good look about him.
He had one of those moments in the World Baseball Classic this year where coming off the field, so excited. I think he pumped his fist so hard his cap came flying off. You know, he's a big in the moment guy, and he is a fun one to watch pitch. He has retired now the last 7 Rangers he has faced. And with 2 away, here comes Elvis Andrus.
Yeah, and for kids that are watching and fancy themselves becoming baseball players, and maybe you're not quite there yet, when he was in 7th grade, he didn't even make his school team.
There's a hot smash by third. Base hit for Andrus. He'll turn and go to second. And now he's in scoring position for Nomar Mazara.
Elvis continues to be very impressive. Day in and day out, he's been the Rangers' best player this year. Most consistent. Got a couple of little minor spells where he cooled off, but it comes right back to him. Smoked that ball by Longoria. He walked and scored a run in the first. Now he's got a double with 2 outs in the third. Has his average up over 290. 7th in the league in hits. Tied for 3rd in stolen bases. 7-game hitting streak. Goes on for the way Elvis played last year. Hit 300 for the first time, and he's carrying it over to the 2017 season, right where he left off last year. Chris Archer didn't make a 7th grade team, so he went to every single home game, sat in the stands, and he watched all the games to try to identify the skills that he needed to make the 8th grade team. So there you go. 12 or 13-year-olds couldn't even make his school team, but he kept with it, learned how to improve, and here he is in the big leagues.
1-1 to Nomar Mazara. That's a Jordan-esque, right? I mean, wasn't that Michael Jordan got cut from
that's
the
right.
school basketball team?
Yeah.
The other guy, Mark Burley. I remember the Mark Burley story. Very same thing. He was such a little guy, and he got cut. They didn't think that he was going to be a big enough, strong enough kid, athlete. I think he was a junior in high school when he got cut.
There's a guy that made every start for 10 years.
To a perfect game.
Yeah.
1-2 on Nomar Mazara. I guess that kind of falls in line too with tonight's starter for the Rangers, Austin Bibens-Dirks, and the way he has stuck with it in his pro career. Many a ball player would have given up long ago, but he stuck with it. And tonight making his first big league start. Down 3-1 at the moment. The 1-2 pitch, and Mazara strikes out swinging.
Devastating pitch, that slider.
So Archer pretty sharp again in the third. We go to the 4th inning in a 2-run game. Fourth inning, and an invitation. You can come on out June 7th for an autograph session with Matt Bush at the Whataburger, 3845 South Carrier Parkway in Grand Prairie. It's a 10:30 a.m. autograph session. While there, sign up to be the Whataburger Whata fan, and you could win tickets to a Rangers game as well as Whataburger for a year. Go to TexasRangers.com/appearances for more information. Bottom third of the order coming here for the Rays.
I don't know for sure, Dave, but I would think you might want to get there early for that. There's a limit to how long Matt will be there.
I think that's.
I think if you come a little bit late, you might be left out.
There's probably a
Go
really
have some go have some breakfast.
There you go.
Wait it out.
You often dole out really helpful and good information on any given night. That's
try
probably
to.
some of your better advice in a while.
I try to.
You leave the house at 10:35 that day, you're not getting you're
No.
not getting up there.
No. Yeah, I mean, you might get a great bite to eat, brunch, lunch, whatever you want to call it. You're going to love that, but you might be left out of the autograph scene. So go early, have breakfast, get in line, and be very happy when you leave. You'll leave with a full stomach and an autograph, and you get to meet Matt, and you'll love that.
Tim Beckham starting things in this 4th inning. The 2-1 from Bibens-Dirks. Bouncer, shortstop. Andrus is there, and Beckham retired. 1 away in the 4th inning. Well, Bibens-Dirks looking into this 4th inning. He got Derek Norris swinging in the 2nd inning, and then the man due after Norris, Daniel Robertson. Those were his 2 strikeout victims so far tonight. Popped up near second base. And Odor continuing to move in on it makes the play. So I mentioned earlier, a lot of research done before this ball game by a great staff here with the Texas Rangers about Bibens-Dirks making this start today. Just a smidge over 32 years old, and that makes him a little older than Ross Wolf, who was previously the oldest Ranger to make his first big league start. That was just about 4 years ago. Strike 1 to Daniel Robertson. Bibens-Dirks called up, used out of the bullpen, threw 179 pitches last week. And now moved into the rotation. And we'll see. Now there are a lot of off days coming up for the Rangers. One tomorrow, in fact. Another one on Monday. Tyson Ross making another rehab assignment. And that may well be his final rehab assignment, which would allow him to join the team and slot into the rotation. So it could be one, could be more for Austin Bibens-Dirks. 1-1 pitch, and this one lifted out to right field. Chu goes back, but has room out there and brings it in. And it's a 1-2-3, top of the 4th inning for Bibens-Dirks. So now to the last of the 4th, heart of the order coming. Adrian Beltre will lead it off. Then Rougned Odor and Jonathan Lucroy. Baseball is brought to you by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by North Texas Ford. The Great American Sales Event is happening now at your local Texas Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. All right, close game. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Beltre, Odor, and Lucroy doing this fourth inning. So maybe a great opportunity against Chris Archer, who's off to a pretty nice start so far tonight. Allowed a run on 2 hits. And gets one in there for strike 1 to Beltre. Beltre knocked in the Rangers' only run, a sac fly in the first. And narrowly missed hitting it out of the ballpark. Hits this ball hard over third base. That one into the corner. Beltre will jog to second base, and he has a leadoff double. Well, you can join 105.3 The Fan in welcoming Adrian Beltre back to the Rangers lineup with 2 tickets for $29. Tickets are available in the Lexus Club Terrace, upper box, and upper reserve seating areas using the online coupon code FAN29 at TexasRangers.com/specials. That's a savings of up to 59%. So join us with this great offer during the June 6th and 7th games against the New York Mets when they come to town.
Now, most guys, when they get to be 38 years old, you see a noticeable change in their bat speed. Definitely don't see that with Adrian. That pitch was 96 miles an hour on the inside half of the plate. And he hit it right on the barrel of the bat on a line for a double down the left field line. I think he might have surprised Chris Archer a little bit that he was able to do that on that pitch. Archer watched the replay up on the scoreboard and had a little bit of a puzzled look on his face. Ball's probably on the inside corner of the plate at 96 miles an hour. Not much difference in that swing and the swing you saw 5 or 6 years ago.
He's out there in scoring position for Odor with a 2-0 count, and Rudy finally asked for time.
The last pitch was a changeup, which he doesn't throw very often. I don't think he has a whole lot of confidence in that. But you would think American League hitters are glad if he ever does develop a really good changeup. He might really put some strikeouts on the board. Right now, every pitch he throws is over 89 miles an hour, between 89 and 97. But the slider is such a great pitch that even though the hitter can time the speed pretty good, there's not that much of a variation in 2 hard pitches. The fact that it breaks so sharply and so much allows him to have success anyway. But watch out if he ever develops a really good changeup.
He's behind Odor at the moment here in the 2-1 pitch. This one is hit out into right field. That drops in, base hit. But Beltre will go to third base and hold there.
That's a pretty nice start to the 4th inning. Adrian turned around a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and Ruby turned around a hard slider on the inside part of the plate. Pitch probably not a strike. It looked like it was off the plate. 2 nice swings by Adrian and Rugnet.
That brings up Jonathan Lucroy. 0 for 1, flat out to center field in the 2nd inning. But a double and a single to start this 4th. And the breaking ball in there for a strike. Lucroy 5 for his last 24 coming into play tonight. I've seen the average dip just a little bit. Only 1 hit so far on this homestand for him. He had been in a real hot stretch part of the last couple of days. On a hole now 0-2. Archer's allowed 4 hits so far. 2 doubles, 2 singles, the 1 walk. Lucroy reaches out and taps it over the mound. He'll get the out at second base to throw to first in time for the double play. Beltre scores from third, but a big double play takes a little wind out of the sails. It's a 3-2 ball game.
Third baseman, Joey Gallo.
That's pretty much, as they say, a tailor-made double play. Big hop right near the bag. Simple flip and plenty of time.
The ball wasn't hit real hard. The hope was off the bat that maybe just enough taken out of it that Lucroy could beat it out.
Came close.
Yeah. Well, now Gallo. How about that month of May? He struck out in the second inning, 0 for 1. Spent a little time with Gallo this afternoon on a project with the Rangers, and we're talking about his stance, that big open stance you see this year. And it had been a while. The last couple of years he's been with a straight up stance, and this year was in spring training. We're probably maybe first week of spring training. There was a game in Tempe and it did not go well. Said he was driving back to Surprise. He said, I've got to change it up. I got to go back to the open stance. Went straight to the ballpark, to the batting cages, started working on it. He says it's made all the difference this year.
That ball appeared to be affected by the breeze. Looked like it was going to be somewhere out near the third baseline. Carried all the way to the dugout.
Maybe a little break keeps the inning going for him.
It's the wind blowing in from right field, and if you don't hit it high, it doesn't affect the ball as much, but that was so high it sure looked like the wind affected it. There's that sky. Evan can't see it. Kind of happy with it landed where it did. Saw Chu not be able to locate one last night under these same sky conditions, same time of day.
2-2 pitch, and it's a full count. Gallo said he spent the rest of spring training working on going back to he said he used to hit like that as a kid with the big open stance. And he just thought, you know what, the heck with it. I got to go back to what was working. He sees the ball a little bit better and gets into a better position to hit. And he watches strike 3. So down looking in the 4th. That is the 5th strikeout tonight for Chris Archer. We go to the 5th inning in a 1-run game.
Happy birthday, Ranger.
3-2 here at Globe Life Park in Arlington, and some of the injured Rangers slowly but surely beginning to make their way back to the field and off of the disabled list. Some good signs from Carlos Gomez today as he went back and forth on his running using that pivot, so some kind of fake bases, got in the cage as well. I asked him before the game tonight, how are things going? I got a giant smile and 2 thumbs up, so I think things went well there. He did get an MRI today. The results yet have not been announced. Meanwhile, from the bullpen, Jose Leclerc had 2 rehab starts. Go foul.
Good work.
Foul ball. That's my play-by-play, guys.
Well, listen.
I willed it to go foul, and it went foul.
You didn't have much time to describe that one. That got from point A to point B in a hurry.
Emily, you're the Carlton Fisk of field reporters right there.
I think you might have heard that one, Em. I don't know if you actually saw it. It went so fast.
I should never be allowed to do that again. Let me finish my thought. Jose Leclerc, 15 pitch, 3 out, 3 strikeout inning. Last night, he is set to come back on Friday.
Yeah,
and
that's really
we need
good
another
news.
foul ball. Just come back down to me, guys.
Yeah, well done. No balls. 2 strikes on Dickerson. Top of the order for the Rays here in the 5th inning. A little tapper to the left side of the infield. Andrus able to pick it up and takes care of Dickerson. 1 away. Leclerc coming back on Friday, Tom. That will be a pretty nice addition for this team. They could use the help in the pen.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bannister had developed a lot of confidence in Leclerc. He was throwing the ball extremely well. He had 1 bad outing that I can think of, but for the most part, he came in and threw a lot of quality strikes. So to have him back would be a nice shot in the arm. I know Danny would appreciate it. I think Danny's got a little rotator cuff injury right there.
Now Kevin Kiermaier, who takes strike 1. Kiermaier is 0 for 2 tonight. He has popped up and foul ground to first, and he's also pulled one on the ground to Napoli over there at first. Count now 0-2. Well, Bibens-Dirks has retired 6 hitters in a row now. Give up a couple of runs in the 2nd, allowed another run in the 3rd. Two-strike pitch. Well, the pitch count still in an area where you would think Bibens-Dirks, once he gets through the 5th inning, he might have a 6th or more in him tonight. Depends on how far Jeff Bannister wants to push him. Threw 84 pitches in that last relief outing. This one lifted high in the air out to right field. 2 will come in several steps, and 2 away. Right, here comes Evan Longoria, 1 for 2 tonight. Longoria, one of the highly thought of prospects in that 06 draft. And very quickly to the big leagues, and look, I mean, he has been Mr. Ray. He's our all-time leader in just about everything.
Yeah, I think people were surprised that the Rays were able to sign him and keep him. Some people think he gave the Rays a little bit of a favorable deal. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But the bottom line was he was happy with the contract, and so were they. And for a team that over the years has had and will have problems keeping all their good players, they were able to keep him, and he's turned into a franchise cornerstone. And he's happy to be there, happy with his contract, and the Rays are very happy that he accepted their long-term offer.
Well, they've basically been a winning organization since they drafted him, got him to the big leagues.
Exactly.
Drafted him 06. 07 was their last season of 90+ losses prior to last year.
He's a common thread.
He rolls this one foul along the first baseline.
Carl Crawford was another young player right around that same time. They weren't able to keep him. Another young player that was terrific was Rocco Baldelli. Rocco is now their first base coach, still only 35 years old. Had some health issues and was forced to retire, but boy, he was, for a couple of years, he was one of the bright young prospects in the game. He would have fit right in with this outfield that they've got now. Center fielder, Gold Glove caliber center fielder, good arm, steal a base. Might have developed power if he was able to continue his career.
Now Bibens-Dirks trying to get through this fifth inning, and it's 1-2. Just missed outside. Baldelli.
Still in great shape. If I had to pick the first base coach in baseball who's in the best shape, I couldn't even list 5 of them. So it's a dumb thing to say, but I'm betting on Rocco Baldelli.
Bibens-Dirks wanted that one. It's a full count now on Longoria.
He's thrown him a little bit of everything from all different arm angles. Dropped down with a slider. Trying to find the right one. There we go.
Well, a big payoff pitch. And this one hit out to left center field. Hanging up there for a while, and it drops just in front of the fence. Longoria to second base with a 2-out double.
First baseman Logan Morrison.
Got a pitch on the outside part of the plate. Longoria didn't get all of it, but he hit it well into the gap. Longoria is only hitting .237 coming into the game, coming off a year where he hit 36 home runs. And he's got an RBI single and now a double in this ball game.
Well, that was a pretty good battle right there. And Bibens-Dirks even flashed a little frustration in the middle of that at bat. Felt like he had Longoria on one pitch and missed on the next. So the inning will continue for Logan Morrison. Morrison, who had a base hit and a walk his first 2 times up, he has scored a run. Pitch count now at 80 for Bibens-Dirks. He might be running out of gas just a touch here. Jeremy Jeffress been loosened in the pen for a little bit. Tell you what, the story of Austin Bibens-Dirks, though, and the fact that he is on the mound right now, working in his first big league start, is just a remarkable one. And we've talked about a lot of the reasons why. But during spring training, every time it was like one of those things where it seemed like every game we did on television, we only did a handful. He, of course, got into it. He got into every game, I think, that I filled in on radio. Every time I looked up, Austin Bibens-Dirks was pitching. Yeah. And he came over, it seemed like every day from the minor league side to help out in case the Rangers needed an arm. And it was in that just kind of random opportunity that he got that Jeff Bannister really fell in love with the way this guy competes, his attitude. And I think this was a special day even for that man, Jeff Bannister, to give this opportunity to Bibens-Dirks. Not that he gave anything to him, he earned it. But I think it was fun for Banny.
Well, as a minor league player, that's all you can hope, is that you get a chance to play in big league spring training games, get a chance to excel and show the manager that you might be an option when the season starts. So it was great that he got that opportunity, and really nice that he made the best out of it.
On tap foul, 2-1. of course, he gets a lot of questions. People want to know, how does he feel about this? How do you feel about that? What's his experience been like? And finally, the other day, I loved it. He stood up and he said, you know, I've faced a lot of hitters over the years. I've pitched in a lot of different places, and I always felt like I had what it takes to get guys out. And I've proved that to myself so far this year, and I think I'm going to do all right. And he has acquitted himself well.
Great attitude, and he's probably right. You think of how many other pitchers, players between the ages of whatever, 27 and 33, that have worked just as hard in the minor leagues, independent baseball, Latin America in the wintertime, to try to get the same opportunity and never get it. And who knows what would have happened with a lot of them. Maybe they would have excelled and stayed in the big leagues and made a career out of it. A lot of guys that are probably talented enough that never get the chance for whatever reason, get lost in the shuffle. They don't throw 95 miles an hour. They don't hit 400-foot home runs. But a lot of them really know how to play. Sometimes never get the chance.
Well, he loses Morrison, and that's going to be it. He's not going to have the opportunity to get through the 5 today. Came so close. 2 outs, but gave up the double to Longoria, the walk to Morrison, and Jeff Bannister will give him a moment. I'll no doubt have a word for him, and then he'll let Austin Bibens-Dirks get the accolades from the fans here tonight. A special moment, special evening for Austin Bibens-Dirks, and he'll soak it in, I hope, on his way in. Rays have a couple of guys out there, though, in this 5th inning. Austin Bibens-Dirks done, at the very least, 1 out earlier than he wanted. 4 2/3, 3 runs on 5 hits. But responsible for the 2 men out there. Jeremy Jeffress has come on in his relief.
Yeah, when you look at the pitch arsenal, the pitches he likes to favor, pretty obvious that he likes his 2-seam fastball. That's his sinker. And he'll mix in a fair percentage of curveballs, changeups, and also a 4-seam fastball. But more often than not, if you're the hitter, you look for a sinker, and you're probably going to get it. If he executes it, you'll hit a ground ball.
Well, Jeffress going after the 5th place hitter, Steven Souza Jr. This one shanked over to the right side, foul and out of play. Jeffress, the last couple of times we have seen him, he's gone a little bit longer than usual. Jeffress went an inning plus on Monday. Prior to that, we saw him in the first game in Toronto, that Friday night game. Jeffress went 2 1/3 in relief on Friday. Big spot right here. And that's tight. 2-1 to Souza. Jeffress last year was the closer in Milwaukee. Did a really nice job with the Brewers. Rangers acquired him at the trade deadline last year, part of the Jonathan Lucroy deal, and was a big part of the bullpen. A guy who you know has had some experience closing games. A bouncer third base. Beltre to the bag himself. Pardon me, Gallo, and that will end the inning. Slightly different guys. So Jeffress on and gets Bibens-Dirks out of the 5th inning. We're halfway there tonight. Rays lead by 1. Out of the 5th inning in a 1-run game. Rangers fans, here's a giveaway that's just in time for summer. Saturday, June 17th, first 15,000 fans to the ballpark, treated to a Nomar Mazar Big Chill Cooler backpack, courtesy of Dairy Max. Come cheer on the Rangers. They take on the Mariners that Saturday afternoon at a 4:05 game. Get your tickets today, TexasRangers.com, or by calling 972-RANGERS. All right, bottom of the 5th. And Mike Napoli takes a strike. Napoli struck out looking in the 2nd inning. 0 for 1 so far. Back in the lineup, playing first base, and over the top of that slider, it's 0-2. Shot out the last 2 games. Lately has been swinging the bat real well, but strikes out swinging to start the 5th inning. The ball got away, and Napoli beats it out down to first. And Norris, it didn't get away quickly enough to bang off the backstop. And so it just became a long run for Norris, and Napoli beats it out.
That's another look at that slider that Chris Archer features. That one was outside enough to where Norris was unable to keep it in front of him. He'd like another chance at that, even though it goes as a wild pitch. Under those circumstances, leading off an inning, it's probably one that he'd like another chance to block, as it is for the Rangers. It's a strikeout for Knapp, but it's a leadoff runner on base.
Yeah, that's a nice break right there. So Napoli is on ahead of Jared Hoying, who struck out swinging in the 3rd. 6 strikeouts now for Archer. But that one didn't result in an out. The Rays have scored their 3 runs on 5 hits tonight. No errors. They've also stranded 5. And Hoying pops this one up left side of the infield and playable for Longoria. 1 away. All right, time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in again with John Radigan.
Right fielder, Shin-Soo Choo.
All right, thanks, John.
Yeah, the Yankees are 30-19 coming into that game, and Tanaka's had some good games, but he's gotten knocked around. I don't expect to be 11 games over 500 with your ace getting bounced around like that.
Yeah, this was a year that I figured the Yankees would have to have a lot of things really kind of fall together and go right for them to have a good year, and that's the type of thing that you would have not expected to go wrong, and yet just about everything else has gone right. Well, they played some good baseball. Second best record in the American League. 2-0 to Shin-Soo Choo. Man at first, 1 out.
Well, Archer trying to work in his changeup a little bit here in the 5th inning. Jared popped one up. That was a changeup a little bit outside the Shin-Soo. Only throws the changeup probably 4 or 5 times a game generally. Oh, there's that slide. Almost looks like a 90-mile-an-hour curveball. Goes down so much.
He's gotten Choo twice tonight. Choo flat out in the first, grounded out in the 3rd inning. This ball hit hard on the ground and through into right field. That's a base hit. Napoli was busting it off first. He heads to 3rd and he's in there. The single by Choo puts him on the corners in the 5th.
And that, I'm sure, is a pitch that Archer would have to like to get back. That looked like a high changeup that he threw him, and Choo jumped all over it. Yeah, 84, 85 miles an hour, kind of right in Choo's wheelhouse. Ripped that into right field for a little 1st and 3rd action.
So the inning building now as the 2, 3, and 4 hitters are coming. Andrus, who walked earlier, doubled in the 3rd. Stands in right side. Archer, you mentioned it earlier. Archer had been so tough on right-handed hitters in a very general sense. In his previous 2 starts, righties were what, like 1 for 24 against him?
Yeah, that's pretty much not that the slider is fun for a left-hand hitter, but at least it's coming toward him. That same slider like that breaking away is just lethal for a right-hand hitter. All you can hope is that he hangs one. There's what you're talking about, Dave. 1 walk and 17 strikeouts to right-hand hitters.
So the Rangers have blown past those numbers tonight. Andrus had that double in the 3rd. Beltre doubled in the 4th, and then there was also the walk earlier to Andrus. So the right-handed hitters have done a much better job against Archer tonight. It's 1-1. And a little bouncer, shortstop. Beckham, quick exchange to 2nd. Robertson to 1st, not in time. Andrus beats it out.
Boy, that's big. Just a split second between no runs and 1 run. Elvis hit it just slowly enough. It looked like the Rays did a pretty nice job of turning it, but not quite in time to get Elvis, who really turned it on the last 4 or 5 steps. Good job by Rugi getting down there in time to disrupt the play at second base. Clean slide going right toward the bag. And there's a look at it. Elvis safe by just a little bit. Hopefully Robertson's okay. Got taken out with that slide from Rugi.
Yeah, Chu going in there.
I mean Chu. Sorry about
on that slide. Yeah, but and you see Kevin Cash out there partly to check on his player and also maybe chewing Chris Conroy just a little bit. It's interesting. I mean, if he's going to challenge, he has to challenge. He can't ask for the crew to do it.
Well, it looked like Shin-Soo went straight into the bag. Now his legs were extended a little bit, but it certainly looked like it was within the parameters of a fair slide. Let's take another look. It's going right directly toward the bag. Leg is out. I can't find any fault with that slide.
No, if that slide ends up being a violation, then it's really getting ticky-tack out there.
He didn't lift his leg. He didn't try to trip him. He just slid, and his legs were extended a little bit, but his body was directly in line going toward second base.
He didn't change his route, and that's the big thing, right? Is if a guy changes his direction,
his head is probably on the right side of second base. It is.
Well, this rule has been sort of one of the key rules to replay. It's all about the bona fide slide. You got to begin your slide before reaching the base. You got to keep contact with the base. And you've got to stay within reach of the base without changing your path.
He did
for the purpose of initiating contact with a fielder. He didn't change.
He checked all 4 of those boxes.
Yeah, I think that one is going to have to go down as a bona fide slide. But we don't
taking a little time looking at it, though.
Yeah. And it is not our call. So,
well, if they want any help, they feel free to call us. I thought that Shin-Soo went in. I mean, in the old days before this rule, that wouldn't even have smelled the radar screen of a bad slide. Guys used to slide so far toward shortstop, if they could reach it with their hand and their whole body was extended toward third base, it was a clean slide.
That's from the high home, back behind home plate. Watch Chu. His route doesn't seem to change. No, I mean that would be
that.
Man,
if that's not a fair slide, boy, I can't imagine what is.
Again, if you're going by the letter of the law, that has to be a bona fide slide.
His hips are perfectly even with the bag, and his head is actually on the right side of the base. He can easily make contact with the base. He didn't slide over the base. He stayed on the base. Now his feet didn't go directly toward second base, but that shouldn't matter.
As long as it didn't appear that he was reaching out to intentionally hinder the play. I mean, that looks like a real natural motion. A little swing there with the left leg, but not dramatic.
I'm not a middle infielder, but on that kind of a play, it seems like it's up to the second baseman to figure out whether to step towards center field, step back towards second base, come across the bag a little bit quicker.
I wish we could get Hal McRae on the headset.
Hal McRae used to end up on the grass in left field when he slid. You better be ready. If you turned a double play like that, you'd be carried off the field. Don Baylor.
Oh, this has been some.
I don't like how long they're taking to look at it.
There we go. Safe at first. So that one ties the game.
I would have been stunned if that was called an illegal slide.
Cash will lose his challenge. Andrus safe at first. The inning continues for Nomar Mazara.
Well, Elvis turned it on the last 15 or 20 feet. Barely made it to first base. Picked up an RBI, and more importantly, the Rangers tie the game.
So now Nomar 1 for 2. Long wait out there for Archer. Now has to get himself back in the flow again. Mazara yesterday 2 for 5. I mentioned it earlier. He has really been swinging it well lately. 8 for his last 16. That's pretty good stuff. And using the whole field as he takes a backdoor breaking ball for ball 1. Bottom of the 5th inning. Rangers have gotten single tallies tonight, the 1st, 4th, and 5th innings. 3 runs on 5 hits, 1 error, and they have stranded 2 so far. Facing Chris Archer. Oh boy, he does not like what he is seeing. Steps off. Andrus, by the way, 12 stolen bases over there at first base. 3rd most in the American League, and seems to be a bit of a distraction for Archer. Two and 0. Archer showing some of the very same frustration we saw in the top of the inning when Bibens-Dirks was so close to getting Evan Longoria. Three and 0. That was a long review, and I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses.
That's what
for
had me
anybody.
worried. It looked like it should have been one look and out of there. You're right, Dave. They looked at it for a long time.
And for Archer, that was a long time just to be standing out there doing nothing. And it seems like he's having a little trouble getting back on track. Grooves that one, and it's 3 and 1.
Definitely trying to keep the ball away from Nomar. If he walks Nomar, then Adrian comes to the plate, and Adrian's had 2 nice at bats. Long sacrifice fly and a well hit double down the left field line.
There's ball 4. So Andrus goes to second on the Mazara walk.
Adrian's hit a fastball both times. Once to the warning track in center field and once on the line to left field. And in a tie game, middle of the ball game like this, I know that Archer's best pitch is a slider. I have to think that Adrian will get a pretty good chance to get a look at that slider in this at bat.
Slider down in the dirt.
And obviously one of the keys when you face Archer is to lay off that pitch. Easier said than done. He gets a lot of swings and misses at that sharp breaking slider out of the strike zone. But if you can make him get it up, then you have obviously a much better chance to hit it.
Goes after that one in the dirt. 1-1 the count. Beltre with that double in the 4th inning. That was number 593 in his career. 18th all time on the doubles list.
I'd be surprised if he gets a fastball here. I have to think he's going all sliders. The first time up, he threw him a couple of sliders, and then he hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And in this situation, the lead on the line, his best pitch is a slider. He hung that last one. Adrian had a great swing at it. But I have to think he's going to see it again.
Two out, 2 men on base. Archer's 1-2 pitch, and it is high. Beltre dances through ball 2, and Archer again showing a lot of emotion here these last 2 at bats. A tie game.
He didn't throw the slider. It looked like he tried to throw a high fastball, tempting fastball, maybe to get Adrian to swing, but he just threw it too high. Wasn't tempting enough.
Slider bounced to short. Backhand stop. Beckham long throw is in time. So the inning is over. Rangers lead 2, but they pick up a run. They've tied the game, and it's 3-3 onto the 6th. Inning tonight.
Chris Archer against Adrian Beltre. Lead on the line. Best pitch is his slider. Starts him out with one for a ball. Gets the swing 1-1. Hangs one, but Adrian fouled it off. Tries to get him to chase a high fastball. Comes back with a pretty good slider. Adrian got the bat on the ball, but it goes to Beckham, who gets the out at first base. So Archer shaking his head. Gave up a run that inning. The Rangers tied it. But when he got in trouble, he went to the slider in that at bat, especially remembering that Adrian had hit 2 fastballs the first 2 times up very well.
So now Colby Rasmus, and he hits this one in the air out to deep left field into that corner, and that one is high off the fence. Mazzara will track it down and hold Rasmus to a leadoff double.
That ball did not look like a ball that was going to go off the wall like that. And I know that Mazzara didn't think that. When he was going back, I think he thought he was going to be able to drift underneath it and catch it somewhere on the warning track. He hit it pretty well, but he popped it up, and that ball just really carried. Nomar gets back now and goes, uh-oh, that ball's going to hit way up on top of the wall. Almost went another foot. It would have been a home run.
Well, here's Tim Beckham, 0 for 1 with a walk. And Jeffress apparently a little bit low with ball 1. Beckham has been a tough out in this series, and you can see he's done a really good job for the Rays all month with productive at bats. He was 5 for 9 in the first 2 games of this series with 3 RBIs. Today he has walked and grounded out. 3-3 game, top of the 6th inning. Rays won the opening game Monday night. Rangers came back last night, came from behind. It was their largest come from behind win of the year. They were down by 3 runs. I didn't realize that, Tom. There've been so many exciting finishes lately here at home, but 3 runs was the largest deficit from which they had come back this year.
I didn't realize that either.
They made such a habit of doing it last year. Come from behind wins, 49 of them, 1-run victories. A swing and a miss makes it 2-2.
There's that good hard sinker, 94. with that tailing action that brings it in on the fists to the right-hand hitter. It's kind of his trademark pitch.
Rasmus with a modest lead out there at second base.
Boy,
fights it off.
That got way in there. Tell by the sound of the bat where that ball hit, right off the hands. Beckham's glad he didn't hit that in fair territory. It wouldn't have rolled past the pitcher probably.
Bouncer shortstop, and they'll go to third base. Rasmus not sure where he was going, but he gets under the tag.
Wow. That was some kind of move by Rasmus. He was out by a mile, and as Joey reached for him, did a little stutter step and dove underneath the tag. Wow.
Gallo immediately pointed into the dugout and said, no, I got him on the foot. And they're taking a look at it now. Now, hard to tell exactly at that view. How about this?
He hit the bottom of his foot. Let's see.
Oh yeah, he got him.
Yeah, good call, Joey. Boy, we couldn't see that at all. And Jerry Meals at third base. There's no way he could see this. There's the tag.
And there's the base.
Yeah,
took a while.
Wow. I didn't anticipate seeing it that way. From our vantage point, looked like he missed him, but it was a great try by Rasmus, but he's going to be out.
And this one challenged by the Rangers, and it will not take long. It'll be a 6-5 put out at third base.
And Rasmus committed one of the cardinal sins for a base runner, trying to advance to third base on a ball hit to the left side of the infield. Definitely with nobody out. Not much of a chance to get there, although his fake almost got him there, but he was out by a wide margin. When balls hit to the shortstop like that, you have to stand your ground and go back to second.
All right, so that one an easy review. Rasmus is out. Beckham safe at first on the fielder's choice.
That's just a huge play. You take not only a guy out of scoring position, but if he's safe at third, obviously he's at third base with one out. Now the double plays in order, man on first and one out. A good play by Elvis, and even though Joey saw a nice fake put on him, he got the tag down, and he knew it right from the start.
Oh, that was a big challenge, big turnaround on that play. Here's Derek Norris. Well, if that goes the other way, you know, first and third, nobody out.
Yeah, you're looking at the possibility of a big inning.
Yeah, you're looking at the possibility here of a ground ball, maybe even on the next pitch, and you could be back in the dugout. Norris 0 for 2, struck out in the second inning and popped up in the fourth. Jeffress on a relief for Austin Bibens-Dirks. It's 2-0. Norris has struggled at the plate. One for his last 21 now. Set up for a double play at the middle of the infield. Quick toss over to first. Beckham back in there. Rays haven't done a ton of running. They do have a couple of guys that they're certainly more than happy to send. But they walk a lot, they strike out a lot, and they hit a lot of home runs. That's basically the plan. This ball hit high in the air into left field. Mazzara back, but appears to have room. 2 out here in the 6th inning. Get Daniel Robertson, their 9th place hitter, up to the plate. Robertson is also 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Rays got their runs today early. 2 runs in the 2nd inning. Home run by Steven Souza. And then a run in the 3rd inning. And look out, that pickoff almost got away from Napoli. Appeal. He did not go. Tim Woodring down there at first base.
Got it into no man's land there. That one can go either way.
Jeffress mindful of Beckham over at first. He has stolen 3 bases in 4 attempts. He's not going, and the pitch on the way is down on the dirt. 2-0 the count. These two teams fighting to stay right around 500 these days. The Rays a game over coming in. The Rangers a game under coming in. And both will enjoy a day off tomorrow. For the Rays, they've been on one of those long jags where they've had almost no time off. Little bouncer by the mound towards short. Andrus flips it to Odor at second, and that will do it in the top of the 6th inning. A leadoff double doesn't blossom for the Rays. We go to the last of the 6th, all tied at 3. All right, time for the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the jackpot is $900. Lisa Lee from Vernon, our contestant. And if a Ranger hits a home run, well, Lisa will win $900 plus dinner for 2 at a Sonic Drive-In. If they hit a grand slam, then Lisa wins $25,000. And that would be a hoot. Maybe tonight. Chris Archer out there for a 6th inning of work. Rougned Odor, the hitter. Rugi 1 for 2. Archer had to fight a little command issue at the very end of his effort in the 5th inning. His inning was derailed for about 3.5 minutes of just idle time during a review. And he just didn't look quite as sharp after that. And rushes this one past Odor, and the count 1-1. I say rush it. That's one of those rare changeups.
Yeah, back-to-back changeups. That last one was a good one. If you're Rugi, you know he doesn't throw many changeups. So after you've seen one, you're pretty much geared up to hit the fastball. And Archer threw him another one. Got the swing.
This one off the handle foul, and it's a ball and 2 strikes on Odor. Mentioned earlier, Odor was 0 for 4 last night, and that put an end to an 8-game hitting streak for him, second longest in his career. Been seeing the ball a lot better lately. Oh, fouls off another one. We're on that last road trip in Toronto. A lot of attention on Odor every time he came to the plate, every time he was announced pregame in the lineup, when the ball was hit to him in the game, whatever the case, he was booed vociferously up there in Toronto. And a bouncer up the middle. Slow roller though. Charged, and Longoria just in time to get Odor at first.
Rudy sprinting out of the box made it a close play. Boo is checking, but the way Rugi came off the field, I think he felt like the ball got there, and our replay shows that it did.
So 1 out here in the 6th inning. And here is Lucroy, who is 0 for 2. Shoots this one foul. Odor, despite all those boos though in Toronto, came up with a really big 9th inning home run in the opening game of that series. That ended a long drought for him. Hoping maybe that he's starting to settle back in again. We've seen a handful of Rangers hitters lately seeming to get back in a bit of a groove. Lucroy recently has been swinging it pretty well.
Archer has been ranked 2nd slowest between pitches in the American League. The slowest is Matt Andrus, another starter for the Rays, but he appears to be working a little bit quicker than 27 seconds between pitches, which is what he was timed at on average coming into this game. Doesn't seem like he's taking that long between pitches.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. So he's 2nd slowest. Andrus very slow. It says 3 of the top 5 pitchers in
are
baseball
all Rays?
on the Rays team. So I was asking around about that. They will not admit that that's a strategy. Jim Hickey won't say so. Kevin Cash won't say so. You talk to their broadcasters on, they're like, no, we're pretty sure. We're pretty sure that there's something going on. that it is by design. As this one fouled away.
Well, maybe analytics shows that the slower you work, the worse the hitter does. I find that hard to believe, but forever baseball people have said if the pitcher works faster, his defense is more alert. And maybe that's just an old axiom. Maybe it's not true. One of those things that appears to be true based on what your eyes tell you, but maybe analytics says something other than that. I'm sticking to the old way of looking at it, though. Work fast, keep your fielders engaged. We got him timed right now. Let's see how long it takes. Now, you can't pitch right now. Jonathan's got to get back in the box. There we go.
Again, he's averaging a little over 26.5 seconds between pitches. Yeah, see, he is. You're right. He's definitely quicker tonight.
Yeah, when a guy's taking 27 seconds this far into the game, we would at least make a comment between innings about it. Maybe not on the air, but it would be pretty noticeable.
It'd be interesting if it really did end up being a point of emphasis.
You remember Rafael Betancourt?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was literally the slowest. He took 5 or 10 seconds after he started his stretch. That's how slow his stretch was, let alone how long he took before he even started.
Yeah, it seems like there are always a handful of notable, really slow workers. Jose Valverde, I remember when he was closing ball games, he could be forever. This one hit well out towards center field. Kiermaier, a great center fielder, closes on it and makes the play. 2 out in the 6th.
Kiermaier and Sousa have a little thing going on after one of them makes, I don't know if it's every catch, but at least a running catch. They have a little signal that they give to each other. Kiermaier started out in right center field. Pretty simple catch for him. But let's see if we can follow him. He's ready to dive if he had to, but didn't come close to having to dive on that one. A couple more steps and he kind of stopped and pointed toward right field, and Sousa did the same thing back to him.
So with 2 gone, here's Joey Gallo. I'll even count 1-1. Remember last year watching the postseason, the World Series in particular, for the Cubs, Pedro Baez, when he would come out of the bullpen, and he averaged over 30 seconds last year in the regular season. I think he was slower in the postseason.
Huh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think he was closer, almost like 40 seconds at times between pitches, and it was just excruciating.
Wow.
Those games took a little while anyway, but he was very difficult to watch. Now they won the World Series, so going back to what you're saying, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's a reason. 2-1.
I think if there was really something to it,
we'd all know by now.
Everybody'd be doing it by now. I think there's something to it in the opposite way. I mean, every pitching coach I've ever heard said, get the ball, have a plan, be ready to throw it. I know Doug Brocail has said that. Remember, he said it to the relievers early in the year. Know what you're going to do, get the ball, have a conviction in your pitch, and go for it.
Full count now on Gallo. Now Archer's retired 3 in a row after the walk to Mazzara in the 5th inning. 3-3 game. Getting close to 100 pitches thrown for the night, and he strikes out Gallo swinging. 3rd time tonight that Archer's gotten him. And it sends us to the 7th inning tonight. Rangers and Rays tied at 3. 7th inning. By the way, this weekend the Astros in town. Rangers and Astros on Saturday. First 10,000 fans to the ballpark take home a Cole Hamels superhero bobblehead, courtesy of Jimmy John's Gourmet Sandwiches. Don't forget to wear your Rangers red. We're going to red out the ballpark this weekend. Get your tickets, TexasRangers.com, or by calling 972-RANGERS. Time for the 4-game summary. Austin Bibens-Dirks in his first career start in the big leagues, 4 2/3 innings. He's so close to getting himself through 5, couldn't quite pull it off. And Steven Souza Jr., the 2-run homer in the 2nd inning right now. That's the big blow. Offenses haven't had a whole lot going other than that, as Alex Claudio becomes the 3rd pitcher of the night for the Rangers.
Well, he'll mix in a breaking ball, but 85% of the time you're going to see either his sinker or his changeup. Opponents hit 143 against his changeup. That's a good start.
Yeah, a little bouncer second base.
Sinker right in on the fist and a little jam shot to second base.
So we've gotten the first results of the All-Star Game balloting, taking a look at where we stand in the American League. Betts, Trout, and Aaron Judge in the outfield. No real big surprises on that one.
There's one surprise.
What do you got?
No Astros. You got a team that's 38-16. You would think they might have someone up there. Starlin Castro's having a great season at second base, so it's hard to say he doesn't deserve to be there. Correa got off to a slow start. Astros shortstop. He's hot now, though. He's way over 300. Lindor's got 11 home runs, more home runs than any other shortstop in baseball.
Ooh, sharp grounder down to 3rd. Gallo with another nice stop, and he gets it over to 1st in time to get Kiermaier 2 away.
Boy, that's one they call it the hot corner. You don't have much time. All you can do is react. You don't have time to think about what you're going to do on a ball hit like this. Kiermaier smoked it. Looked like it might be headed down the left field line for a double. Joey even with a bag. All he has time to do is reach for it, and he knows Kiermaier can run. And what Joey relies on right here, a little bit off balance, is that way above average arm. He guns it over there and just nits Kiermaier at first base. So very nice play by Joey.
Well, 2 quick outs for Alex Claudio. Longoria's had 2 hits so far tonight. And that one just missed. 2-0. The Rays with 1 more hit than the Rangers to this point of the game. The big one we mentioned by Steven Souza, the 2-run homer in the 2nd inning off Bibens-Dirks. Rangers have had to scrap for their 3 runs. How about that? The Rangers have scored a run on a sac fly today, on a double play, and a fielder's choice. And
whatever it takes.
The guy who scored on the fielder's choice, that was Mike Napoli. He got on the strikeout wild pitch.
That's right. Well, you anticipate that it's going to be slow going for an offense when you face a quality pitcher like Chris Archer. And so to be able to scratch together 3 runs and 5 hits through 6 innings, pretty decent output against Archer.
Well, I'd say the Rangers have to be very happy with the position they're in at this moment, because it's clear that Archer is probably at the tail end of his night. It's not over yet. He would likely come out of the 7th inning, but I don't know how much more he's got left. And then you get into that bullpen. If you can keep it tied, feel like you'd have the advantage. A little bouncer down to Napoli at first. And that'll take care of Logan Morrison and the Rays on 10 pitches. Alex Claudio very good out of the pen again. We stand and stretch tonight, all tied up. At the bottom of the 7th inning, 3-3 ball game. And we talked about the American League All-Star results so far. Well, the National League votes are in. This is our first read of the voting. Hayward, Blackman, Harper in the outfield. Bryant and Seager on the left side. Daniel Murphy and Rizzo on the right side. Posey catching. Any surprises on that one, Tom?
Yeah, how about the shock? Jason Hayward in left field.
Yeah. Well, there's your hot team, big attendance off a World Series. Rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not having an all-star season. You know, we're talking about the Astros don't have any all-stars. I think their best candidates are Correa and Altuve. The guys that are leading. That ball's hit.
And that one crushed out to center field. Long run, Kiermaier back to the wall, and it is in the ballpark. He kept it in somehow, and Napoli at second base with a double.
Kiermaier's upset with himself. That's kind of that's his area right there, near the wall, going after a ball to try to make a spectacular catch. He's on the highlight reel all the time. He times it, he goes up right near the top of the wall. He just missed it, hit off the heel of his glove. He got high enough, hard to know whether it would have been a home run or right off the top of the wall, but he timed it, he got there, and I think with the talent that he has, the athletic ability, he's probably disappointed and expects to catch that ball.
So Napoli with a big double, and he's lifted for pinch runner. Pete Kozma takes over at second base, representing the go-ahead run.
Just finishing up on the Astros, I think it's kind of a credit to their team that they're having such a spectacular season with no noticeable guys that are being left off an all-star team. Hard to argue with any of the choices in the American League.
Hawing to bunt. And it shoots it foul.
It's kind of really important here to get Kozma over to third base, because you've got Chu and Elvis coming up next. Two of the guys you'd want to see up there with a man on third base.
Corners are in. Kozma, small lead at second. And Hoying's bunt fouled off again. The count 0-2. Hoying couldn't get it down. Now the question is, does Jeff Bannister ask him to do it one more time with 2 strikes, or does he go ahead and let him hit? Hoying has struck out and popped out so far tonight against Archer. This will be his 103rd pitch of the night. And he's swinging. A little bouncer over the mound. That's a tough play. Robertson's throw is in time. They get Hoying. It works like a sacrifice. Kozma does get to third with 1 out.
Yeah, and that's tough when you get down to the count 0-2 to a strikeout pitcher like Chris Archer. He had a slider that stayed up and just got enough of it, bounced it over the pitcher. Well, the bunt failed, but the dribbler over Archer's head got the man to third base. The result is fine.
Well, now they'll bring the infield in. Everybody up on the edge of the grass. 3 of the infielders on the right side. And Longoria all by his lonesome there on the left side. Shin-Soo Choo 1 for 3. He is our TXU Energy power player to watch tonight. Fitting spot for Choo. How about these last 5 home games, including tonight now? 5 walks to go with that 8 for 16. He scored 7 runs. And it's 2-0.
Interesting defensive alignment against Choo. The only guy that's going to field the ball if it's hit to shortstop is Mark Carlson, the second base umpire. Everybody else is on the right side, except, of course, for Longoria, who's way over near third base.
The 2-0. And this one popped up. Third base line, heading foul and out of play.
And you know that Chu sees that. He's obviously not trying to pull the ball. He's trying to hit the ball that way. Sure that Tampa Bay has analytics that show that statistically it proves beneficial to play in that defensive alignment. But having seen Chu and a lot of his at-bats, he's grounded a lot of balls to shortstop to the left side, and that's what he's trying to do right now. He wants to hit a ground ball right to the umpire.
Two and two the count.
Tough to hit that pitch the other way. That hard slider down and in. I just have to concentrate on making the bat hit the ball against a very good strikeout pitcher.
2-2. And a bouncer right side. Cutting it off Beckham to throw to the plate in time. So they got Cosma. And there are 2 outs in the inning. Chu is safe at first on the fielder's choice. The out goes 6-2 for the moment.
Yeah, they're going to check to see if the catcher might have blocked the plate. As much as we watch these, it's hard to know exactly how they call these. He had his foot to the first base side of home plate until the end, and then jabbed the foot down in front of the plate to block the plate. And I think that's what the Rangers are going to ask them to look at.
I'm trying to gauge that from Steve Buechele. Looked like I read his lips. Mentioned something about blocking the plate, so that now we saw this the other night where they challenged 2 things: the block of the plate and whether or not he got in there around the tag. Did the tag? See, my question here is, did he tag him, or did Cosma's leg get in there?
You see, his foot is definitely out in front of the plate. Well, it's hard to know exactly when he tagged him. His foot went into the catcher's leg. The tag came down. Was his foot on the base before the tag came down?
We saw this in Boston. It is one play, but multiple challenges. And you can do that. And so in this case, challenging both the block of the plate and the tag. And this may take just a little bit of time for them to sort out back in New York. They've been busy tonight. A handful of challenges in this one. So far, they have gone the Rangers' way. And 2 very big ones. There was one challenge in the 5th inning on a slide at second base by Shin-Soo Choo. The argument was that maybe it was an illegal slide. Turned out it was not, and it resulted in the tying run.
It looks like.
Okay, did get him right there, didn't he?
Yeah, it looks like he tagged him. It looked like his foot is in front of the plate. Is it far enough in front of the plate to be an illegal block of the plate? I don't know. As of now, they don't know in New York either.
So they continue to look that one over. And at this point, that's probably all they're checking. I would gather that they have concluded that the tag was in time. It did look like that the glove got onto Cosma's hip there before his foot was able to swing around. And here's our answer.
It's worth the challenge at this stage of the game. Turned out there was nothing illegal about the catcher, Derek Norris, blocking home plate. His foot came in front of the plate, but obviously the ruling was Nothing illegal about it.
Chris Conway almost beat me there when he waved his hand out. I thought, oh, and then signaled out. So 2 outs. 2 is at first. And here's Elvis Andrus, who in the 7th inning last night hit a 3-run homer, and it tied the game. Runner going from first. The throw from Norris is late, and Chu is in there with a stolen base, his 4th of the year.
Well, they lost the runner from third, but Chu, stealing second base, gets the go-ahead run in scoring position. And I think right now you'd probably pick Elvis as the guy you'd want at the plate. Chu gets a good jump, throws a little bit high and off. Chu slides in easily to beat that.
We got a hot hitter at the plate, drove in a run earlier tonight, scored a run. That one bounces, it's 1-1. I mentioned Andrus with the big home run in the 7th inning yesterday. That tied the game. Then in the 8th inning, came back up again and delivered a really big 2-run single. This just sort of had a penchant for the big moment. Two and 1.
111 pitches right now for Chris Archer. Nothing new for him. 20 straight starts, 21 straight starts now where he's been over 100 pitches, although this is the 2nd most he's thrown in a game this season. Nobody warming up in the bullpen, so this inning is his.
This one lined into left field. A base hit. Chu around third. He scores. Andrus to second. He's driven in the go-ahead run again.
Well, as we've said too many times in this game, the slider is Archer's best pitch, and when he's in trouble, that's what he's going to go to. Unfortunately for him, he hung this one, and Elvis is all over it. Elvis is too good a hitter, too hot a hitter to get away with this pitch in this situation. It's right down the middle of the plate, and Elvis barreled it up for an RBI double.
Hedging his bets, swiping both ways as that one bounced up to Mazzara for ball 1. Boy, you talk about a huge 2-out hit. Andrus makes it a 4-3 Rangers lead in the bottom of the 7th inning. And now a base hit to the outfield would pick up a very big insurance run if Mazzara can produce. Omar, one of the best in the American League with runners in scoring position this year. It's this one on the ground. Sliding stop Robertson. And Mazzara is out. 2 in the 7th inning. Rangers, though, score one very big run. Nomar Mazzara rolls out, but not before Elvis Andrus delivers the go-ahead double. Northwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by AT&T Internet. Visit AT&T.com/keepcalm to learn more. So the Rangers leading by a run. Second time they have led tonight. Elvis Andrus with another clutch hit. A 2-out double, bottom of the 7th to make it a 4-3 game. And so on to the 8th we go. Steven Souza Jr. will lead things off here for the Rays. Claudio pitched beautifully in the 7th inning. Needed just 10 pitches to get his 3 outs, and he starts Souza off with strike 1. One off the plate, 1-1. All right, Ryan Rua has moved into left field. Gallo switches to the other side of the diamond. He's now at first. Cosma stays in to play third base. And Omar Mazzara now in right field. Bouncer left side of the infield. Long throw for Andrus. In time. Nice stretch by Gallo. One away in the 8th inning. Time for a Chevy game break as we send it back again to John Radigan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please for Tampa Bay.
All right, thanks, John.
Ricky Weeks Jr. Batting for Colby Rasmus. Ricky Weeks Jr.
The standings in the American League East. Yankees with a 2.5 game lead. Baltimore 3.5 back. I mean, Toronto, they were all but out of it a month ago. And now 5.5 back and playing some pretty good baseball. That's a very tough American League East division. He's right in the middle of things. And now Ricky Weeks pinch hitting here for Colby Rasmus. Weeks will strike out a lot. You look at his numbers, 330 on base, pretty good, but we saw it quite a bit in Monday night's game. He's had trouble with that strikeout. 1-1 to count. Double barrel action now in the Rangers pen.
Yeah, if you go at bats and not plate appearances, he does have a fairly alarming rate of strikeouts. 90 at bats, 46 strikeouts.
It's always been a big part of his game. I think it's been a source of some frustration too for a lot of his managers over the years. A very talented guy, good speed. And he breaks his bat on this little foul roller. I mean, that was a big swing and what appears to be very little contact, but that bat just shattered.
Well, he hit it right off the cupped part of the bat. You can see the end of the bat, and the cupped, when you cup the end of the bat, the rim of the bat, the circumference of the bat is kind of a sharp edge, and he was way out in front of it, hit it right off the end of the bat. And if the bat is not cupped, it's smooth, and that ball just spins off the end of the bat. But because it caught the edge of the cupping of the bat, that's why the end of it split like that. And when you cup a bat, what you do is you get a harder piece of wood, a heavier bat, and you take out about 1.5 ounces of the weight by taking that cup off the end of the bat. And if you want a 31-ounce bat, you can get a 32.5-ounce bat, cup it, and it turns into a 31-ounce bat. I think the feeling is you get a little bit better wood if you do that.
Breaking ball lifted foul, first base side and out of play. Kind of like we used to do with the old Pinewood Derbies.
The what?
You didn't do a little Pinewood Derby when you were a kid?
Pinewood Derby? No,
Oh,
that's a
man.
baseball term I haven't heard before.
No, not a baseball term. Old scouts, man. you ever make the little Pinewood Derby things in the scouts and you race them?
No.
Oh man,
I miss scouts. So you're gonna have to give me a little bit better explanation than that.
Yeah, I thought that was just kind of a universal thing. Inside, and Weeks draws the walk. So, one out walk in this 8th inning. For a guy who strikes out a whole lot. We'll bring up Tim Beckham now.
Shortstop Tim Beckham.
Beckham, as I understand it, was really good at the Pinewood Derby. We're going to have a pinch runner for Weeks. So his day is done. And that is Mallex Smith. First time we've seen him in this series. Smith, we mentioned this early on in the broadcast today. The Rays had to make some moves once again. They put Matt Andrus on the disabled list, and then they optioned out a couple of pitchers, recalled a couple more, Austin Pruitt, Ryan Garten, and then Mallex Smith was brought up, an outfielder who can run a little bit. Beckham takes one a little low, ball 1. Rangers lead by a run, but Smith draws a throw from Claudio. A guy worth watching closely. Fouled away. It's 1-1. The runner Smith, this is his first year with the Rays organization. Last year was with the Atlanta Braves. Had a cup of coffee with the Braves last year. 72 games in the big league, stole 16 bases. In the minor leagues, there were years where he would steal, well, one year stole 64 bases. So he likes to run. He's not going there. The count 1-2 now on Beckham. Middle of the infield, setting up in hopes of a ground ball and a chance to turn 2 here. Mario again trying to keep Smith close. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and Beckham down on strikes. First strike out of the night for Claudio.
Well, there's that changeup. It's so deceptive. The way he goes into his stretch, the motion that he makes with his body, the ball comes out so slow the hitter just can't wait on it. There's a look at the way he spins it. So it's spinning, dropping, and slow, and just has confounded so many hitters this year. They know it's coming. You try to wait on it, but he sells it so well with his delivery that you still can't wait on it.
So now Norris, and he fouls off strike 1. It seems to me, you know, guys, we always see guys watching video of opposing pitchers. So many guys have the conventional deliveries, and pitches do what pitches do. I mean, you're kind of used to them, but you can be prepared for that pitch, but unless you've seen it a few times, I mean, in person, standing in a batter's box, I would think that would be a very tough one.
Definitely.
No matter how much video you watch.
Yeah, if you face that for the first time, you pretty much don't have much of a chance.
Swing and a miss, and the count 0-2 on Norris. So Alex Claudio trying to work through 2 innings in relief. Nice, very vocal crowd tonight here at Globe Life Park. And help get him to the finish line in this 8th inning. The toss over to first, and Smith easily back. Tying run at first, 24,000 plus. Cheering on Claudio. And time called just before the delivery. Morris asked for it, and Conroy granted it. It came at the last second, but I'll give him credit. I mean, at least he did it demonstratively so that most everybody could tell. Everybody but Claudio, he wasn't looking at the plate when the call was made. The 0-2. Got him swinging.
What a pitch.
You just can't hit it. Alex Claudio, back-to-back strikeouts. First Tim Beckham, and then Derek Norris. We go to the bottom of the 8th. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and want to invite you to come on out to the ballpark this Sunday. The Rangers facing the Astros, and the first 7,500 kids 13 and under will get an Adrian Beltre replica gold glove courtesy of Powerade Zero. Don't forget to wear your Rangers red. We're redding out the ballpark. Tickets are available at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS.
We'll take a look at our AT&T high-speed replay. It's not really high speed, it's slow speed. The changeup from Alex Claudio, the equalizer. He's pretty pumped up. He got the strikeout of Tim Beckham and Derek Norris. And you know, the other day, Banny chose to go with the right-handers. This time he sticks with Alex for the 2nd inning, and Alex pays big dividends by getting those 2 strikeouts. That was fun to watch.
Malik Smith, who came on to pinch run, was left out there at first base. He stays in the game. He's now in left field for Rasmus. Austin Pruitt is the first relief pitcher used by the Rays tonight, and he gets Beltre to pop it up into short right field. 1 away. All right, tomorrow an off day, and then a huge series beginning Friday. Our AT&T matchup Friday. Astros and Rangers. Carlos Correa Look, a 516 average in the last 7 games. Okay. His month of May was ridiculous. He is playing some kind of baseball. Of course, Elvis Andrus right now is as clutch as anybody in the game. That's going to be fun.
Yep.
Well, Pruitt got the first man he faced. Now Odor, and he leaves it high for a ball. Pruitt recalled for the second time this year. He was with the club on opening day. He's made 12 appearances. You see 3 wins, 3-1. His record, despite an ERA over 7.5. Well, Tampa right back to him though. Take a couple of steps, lob it over there, and retires Odor 2 away. Well, the way things have gone for the Tampa Bay Rays lately, they had no real choice but to recall Austin Pruitt along with Ryan Garten for today's ball game. They sent out Hunter Wood and Chi-Wei Hu, both of whom we saw in long relief. Their bullpen has been chewed up in recent days. There's ball 1 to Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy 0 for 3. And that one grooved for strike 1. Over the last 3 games, the Rays bullpen threw 23 innings. 413 pitches in 3 games from their bullpen. They gave up 22 hits, 16 runs. I mean, of course, it started with the 10 innings of relief in that 15-inning game on Sunday. And they have added dramatically to that. So they've needed help. The 1-2. Lucroy chases strike 3. And that will do it for a quiet bottom of the 8th. Now we go to the 9th inning. Matt Bush will try to protect the 1-run lead when we come back.
Tonight as the Rangers cling to a 4-3 lead, and we head to the 9th inning. We welcome you back to Globe Life Park in Arlington, and we get ready for Rangers Live, presented by Frontier Communications. It's the complete post-game wrap-up. We'll give you lots of post-game. We'll talk to a player on the field. We'll get the sound from Jeff Bannister as well, players in the clubhouse. Pudge Rodriguez and Mike Bassick are already here, feverishly waiting and preparing for our post-game presentation. We've got all the analysis and all the post-game reaction coming your way right after the game. It's Rangers Live, presented by Frontier Communications, guys.
All right, thanks, John. Looking forward to it. After Matt Bush takes care of some business here in the 9th inning. A 1-run Rangers lead. And Bush becomes the 4th pitcher of the night for the Rangers. First offering to Robertson. Misses for ball one. Robertson struck out his first time up. He's also flied out and reached on a fielder's choice. And takes a little heat for a strike. That one at 99. Bush came in yesterday. He got the final 3 outs in order. It started with Robertson, the 9th place hitter in the 9th yesterday. It was not a safe spot. The Rangers were leading 9-5 at the time. This one definitely a save situation. And his 1-2 pitch fouled away. Look at this last 16 games from Matt Bush. Pretty impressive. That's the exact same 3 hitters tonight that he had last night. His 1-2 pitch just a little bit high. Those last 16 games, they followed that cortisone injection into his AC joint and his right shoulder. He's been experiencing some pain dealing with that for a while. Got that fixed, and now that he's a little more free and easy and pain-free, well, he has been dominant. Now the right-hander's 2-2. And a bouncer, third base. Cosma has it. 1 away.
Let's take a look at our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. And what a delivery it was. 7th inning. Hanging slider. Go ahead run on base. Elvis, as he's been doing pretty regularly lately. It's a rope in the left center field. Puts the Rangers ahead by a run. Big smile on Elvis's face. Had the 3-run homer to tie the game last night. Then a 2-run hit in the inning after that. In 7th, 8th inning, he drove in 5 runs. He gets a huge RBI in this game. 2 more hits.
He's been so clutch lately. Alex Claudio was clutch tonight too, out of the bullpen. Here's a fly ball out to center field. Poing is there. And Dickerson turned back quickly in the 9th inning. 2 away.
Well, Dickerson, one of the hottest hitters in the league. And there's just such a difference between a 92-mile-an-hour fastball and a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Got a good swing at that, but Matt got the ball in on his fist, didn't hit it on the barrel of the bat, and just turned out to be a nice little lazy fly ball to center field.
Well, the Rangers now 1 out away from winning this series against the Rays. And Kiermaier hits one hard out to right field. That ball carrying well, and it is gone. Well, that was a rocket. Kiermaier's 6th home run, and it ties this game at 4.
Now, that's just a case of Kiermaier going up there and saying, I'm going to get out in front of a fastball no matter what. Got one to hit, and he got out in front of it. His 6th home run of the year. He had a stretch where he had struck out 7 out of 8 times. And he got the fastball out over the plate, put a swing on it, and Matt doesn't even need to turn around. He knows where that one's headed. Over the bullpen.
Now Evan Longoria, and he'll take a heater for strike 1. Longoria has been on 3 times, a couple of hits and a walk. Bouncer, shortstop. Andrus. And that will do it. But Kiermaier's home run has tied this game at 4. Now the Rangers endeavor to win it in the bottom of the 9th. swinging a ball back. Kept it in the park for a double. Andrus with that double gave the Rangers the lead. Well, he came back. Kiermaier made up for that with the home run in the top of the ninth. We're 4-4 at the moment. Hey, Saturday, 2:30, the Braves taking on the Reds on FS1. Then at 6 o'clock on Fox, it's the Astros and the Rangers. It all starts Saturday, 2:30 on FS1, and then 6 on your local Fox station. You can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Gallo leading off the ninth inning, and he fouls off strike one. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Gallo, a guy who can end it certainly with one mighty swing, and we have seen it before. 0-2. Austin Pruitt came on last inning and retired the 3 batters he faced on again here in the ninth. Stays 0-2. So Sam Dyson, who has been so good, give up the 2-out homer to Kiermaier. And it forces the Rangers to have to bat in the bottom of the ninth. Sorry, Matt Bush rather. Gave up the home run, and now Gallo strikes out swinging, 1 away in the ninth. All right, now here's Pete Kozma. He pinch ran in the 7th inning, was thrown out at the plate on a real big play, and will bat for the first time tonight. Strike one on Kozma. It's the 13th game Kozma has played with the Rangers. Started the year with the Yankees. Only played in 11 games. With the Rangers, hitting .214 with a home run and 2 RBIs. And it's 1-1. Rangers led 1-0. It didn't last real long. Rays came back for 2 in the second. And the Rangers led 4-3. That lasted until the 9th inning. 2-1 the count. Mentioned earlier when Pruitt came on. This is second go-round with the Rays. Just called up. There's a little support in that overtaxed bullpen. A lot of wins, but it's also a guy who has pitched to an ERA of over 7.5.
A pretty exciting game for Austin Pruitt. Called up for the ball game, getting thrown into the game like this. It was fairly comfortable last inning. A little bit different story now. It's tied in the 9th inning.
Kozma should get something good here, and he fouls it off. Talking about that bullpen, there's some of the numbers. Oof. Thing is, they got a couple of wins in there, right? I mean,
yeah, they were in position. They still would have had the same amount of pitchers, the same amount of innings probably. They were in position to win last night till the Rangers put on that 7th and 8th inning show of power to score 7 runs.
Well, that foul tip got a piece of Norris. Well, it might have been a follow through on the swing. What do we have? Ooh.
Yeah, just hit the top of his glove and bent his hand back. The force of a ball coming off the bat at probably 95 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. Just bent his hand back, even with the catcher's mitt on there. Just hitting the wrong spot of the glove. off the top of his hand. Bent his fingers straight back.
Well, you can see that was definitely painful. So he's ready. As ready as he's going to get. 2 fingers now out of the glove for him. Meanwhile, it's a full count on Cosmo. Pruitt's 3-2. Ooh, and he got him swinging. 3 consecutive strikeouts for Pruitt. 2 gone in the 9th.
Looked like a cutter. 88, 89 miles an hour right on the outside corner. Pretty nice pitch. Austin Pruitt, pretty impressive in his first outing with Tampa Bay. For an emergency guy, looks like he's been here all season long the way he's throwing right now.
Well, he's gotten the first 2 outs in this 9th inning. And now Hoying pumps in a strike.
Pretty good curveball.
This one has been a struggle all the way tonight. It's 0-2.
Right, striking out batters at a greater rate than Chris Archer. Archer had 7 strikeouts in 7 innings.
Pruitt already with 3. He's only faced 5 hitters. And he goes 1-2 now to Hoying.
Rangers battled all game against Chris Archer. Scratched together four runs. They had a lead.
1-2. It's outside. And Dyson getting ready down to the bullpen. 2-2. And it's a full count. Rule waiting on deck. Hope to get an opportunity. Bouncer first base side, and it is gloved by Morrison, and he just does beat Hoying to the base. So the inning is over. It's a quiet bottom of the 9th, and we've got extras tonight. Off to the 10th we go, tied at 4. And now we have extras. Here's how we got here. Big 7th inning. Elvis Andrus. A shot into the power alley, got 2 home. And that made it a 1-run lead. But the 9th inning. Bush with a couple of outs, and Kiermaier got him. And he knew it.
Yeah, that was just a case of getting ambushed. Kiermaier went up, got his fastball, and put a swing on it. Credit to Kiermaier.
All right, so Sam Dyson comes on in the 10th inning. Look at Logan Morrison to start.
Didn't recognize Sam warming up down in the bullpen. He's shaved off all the facial hair.
A new look for Dyson. Slowly but surely he's been chipping away at that facial hair. The big beard became a little bit of a goatee. He's now disappeared. And it is 2-0. Morrison, a couple of walks and a base hit. A little bit of power in that bat, though. 14 home runs for Morrison so far this year. And he hits this ball the other way. Back on it goes Rua. He is at the wall, and that one is gone. So Morrison goes the other way. A home run to left field. And the Rays back in front, 5-4.
Well, Morrison tied for 5th coming into the game with 14 home runs. Shows his power. It's a ball that's on the outside part of the plate, maybe not even a strike, tailing away from him, and just sneaks it over the fence in left field. Powerful guy. He has one more home run a third of the way through this season than he had all of last season. Mentioned the Rays hit more home runs than any other American League team, and unfortunately it's come into play in the 9th and 10th inning of this game.
So Steven Souza Jr. now. 5-4 Rays lead, top of the 10th. And that one up tight on Souza. It's 1-1. Seventeenth relief appearance this year for Sam Dyson. A 1-5 record. And that's a little tight. Ball 2. The struggles have been very well chronicled. It has been just a maddening first third of the season for Sam. Check swing. They want an appeal. Yeah, he went 2-2. Dyson's earned an average currently over 10. And it's the 5th home run he's given up in 15 innings. That one is high. It's a full count. A home run by Morrison, 3rd of the game tonight, 8th in this series for the Rays. And a swinging strikeout of Souza, 1 away in the 10th inning. All right, some news and notes today around the league. Hawk Harrelson, longtime White Sox broadcaster. And he is going to be done after the 2018 season. Has announced that he'll step away from the microphone. That'll be his 34th year as a broadcaster. Dodgers, but the last 8 games, their bullpen, and they have been stout. And then the Reds and Blue Jays last night, a lot of home runs. Colomé, Rays closer. getting ready in their bullpen. Alex Smith. It's 1-1. Smith came on to pinch run and then stayed in the game in the bottom of the 8th inning defensively in left field. His first at bat of the night. Limited time this year for Malik Smith. And he taps this one over to the left side. Cosma charges. Nice play. And gets Smith 2 gone.
Shortstop, Tim.
Yep. He knows he didn't have a whole lot of time.
So now Beckham, who has reached once tonight via the walk, otherwise retired his other times to the plate, takes a strike. Beckham, 7th place hitter for the Rays. Top of the order will be coming for the Rangers when we get to the bottom of the 10th inning. But they will be in need of at least 1 run. Bush gave up a solo home run to Kevin Kiermaier in the 9th inning to tie the game. Dyson giving up the home run to Morrison this inning. Bouncer down to third. Cosma trying to stay with it, but he'll hold on to it. And Beckham is aboard with 2 out.
Yeah, Pete did everything he could do on that ball. He stood his ground. He used his body to block the ball. He knows this ball is going to take a bad hop. And the ball kicked off, and there wasn't anything he could do after that.
So Beckham aboard. Here's Derek Norris, and he swings and turns it foul. Pretty healthy rip by Norris, who's 0 for 4 so far tonight. Dyson doesn't bother looking at the runner, instead goes with that 2-seamer to Norris and gets him to swing over the top of it to count 0-2. This one hit well. Out to left field. Rua going back, and it is gone. Almost to the exact same spot as the one that Logan Morrison hit. A 2-run homer by Norris. Now a 7-4 Rays lead.
Now Morrison hit a tailing 2-seam fastball the other way. The one Norris hit looked like a slider. Might have stayed up a little bit. Norris hit it well, not great. Well enough to sneak it over the wall, though. See the slider, the spin on the slider. Might not have got it down exactly where he wanted it. But Norris got enough of it.
Now Daniel Robertson, and the first pitch gets away. Robertson is 0 for 4. Well, the Rays 9th home run now in this series, 4th of the game. They obviously have bought all in on the big swings. I mean, they strike out a ton. Nobody even close to the strikeouts the Rays have been putting up. They lead the league in home runs as well. They lead the league in walks. So much talk in the last, I don't know, 10-15 years about the 3 true outcomes and how that has affected the way people manage, the teams are constructed. The Rays have taken it all the way to the extreme. It's working for him tonight. Bouncer up the middle, and that's a base hit for Robertson. And now to the top of the order. Jeff Bannister pacing in that dugout. Tony Barnett starting to warm up as quickly as he can.
Well, you know, I don't think any team's goal is to lead the league in strikeouts. But if you're leading the league in home runs and you're also walking more than any other team, then the combination of the walks and the home runs is obviously a pretty solid offensive statistic. And you can put up the strikeouts. And we were talking the other day, Dave, there's been hitters like that. Adam Dunn was one. There's been a number of, Jim Thome was somewhat like that. Guys that may not hit for the highest average, may strike out quite a bit, but because of their power and their walks, they're very well received offensive players.
Yeah, those types of players becoming more and more common. And it's just the direction, obviously, that the game is going. You just don't care. The strikeout doesn't carry the same stigma as it used to. And as long as you're getting the home run numbers,
scoring runs,
teams
name
are,
of the game.
Yeah, teams are more than willing to live with the strikeouts, and the Rays are living proof of it. Corey Dickerson. Count 0-1, and he fouls this one off for strike 2. Now Dyson needing an out. Get this thing to the bottom of the 10th inning. And this will be his 25th pitch of the 10th. Ball game that the Rangers were 1 out away from winning, beating Chris Archer on a night when Austin Bibens-Dirks made his first big league start, and this one blooped back of second. Andrus is there, and he'll haul it in. The inning is over. 3 more in, but it'll be Ryan Rua to lead things off in the 10th. Elvis Andrus, and then Nomar Mazara when we come back. Broke the tie in the top of the 10th inning. Yeah, and then Derek Norris, who tacked on 2 more, a couple of bombs in the top of the 10th. And it's a 7-4 game. Hey, America's original nighttime IndyCar Series race returns to the all-new Texas Motor Speedway Saturday night, June 10th. First 20,000 fans in the gates receive a defending Rain Guard Water Sealers 600 champ Graham Rahal bobblehead. Presented by Fox Sports Southwest. Buy one Rain Guard Water Sealers 600 ticket and get one free at TexasMotorspeedway.com. Offer expires June 4th. All right, Alex Colomé on in the 10th inning with his team up by 3, and he'll have to deal with the top of the order.
Colomé has been a solid closer for Tampa Bay. 14 out of 16 with a nice ERA, a good whip. Some people may not know what whip is, Dave. Help us with that.
Walks and hits per innings pitched.
There you go.
So, yeah, how many runners he puts on, basically.
So a lot of times you look at a pitcher and say if he's given up less hits than innings pitched, that's pretty good. So if he's given up less hits and walks per innings pitched, that's really good.
It's quite good. He was very high.
I'm going to ask you a question that I don't know the answer to. What's average? Like I know if someone's hitting 300 what that means, and I know if they've knocked in 100 runs what that means. But what like is a 1 whip like a 300 average, or is that even better than that?
That would be better.
Better than that? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably like equivalent to a 350 or so.
Oh.
Yeah.
The league average might be 1.5.
Yeah, I mean,
1.3.
Yeah, 1.3-ish probably. Let's see. Yeah, I think 1.3. If you're below 1, I mean you're top.
You're Dennis
top
Eckersley.
notch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, league average a couple of years ago was like 1.32.
Okay. So for the people that don't know whip, walks plus hits per innings pitched.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really pretty good statistic. It probably doesn't get as much.
I'm glad we're showing it.
Probably not as much run and publicity as it should get. Now 3-1 now the count to Ryan Rule. By the way, speaking of guys and things that maybe don't get enough credit, Austin Pruitt today for the Rays. What a scoreless 8th and 9th inning. He faced 6 hitters, struck out 3. That was pretty big league as Colomé walks the lead man in the bottom of the 10th with a 3-run lead. That is not good.
No. Yeah, Austin Pruitt was very impressive. I guess that had to be his major league debut, right?
No, he's been up earlier
before?
this year.
Okay. Well, it was a very poised effort. He came in a 1-run game, and then it was a tie game, and he pitched even better the 2nd inning. Struck out the first 2 hitters, got a little ground ball.
His timing couldn't be better either. You know, he comes up now. They'll have an off day tomorrow, so everybody will be sort of rested. Won't be that panic to make moves, perhaps, to bolster the bullpen, and he might, especially after that effort tonight, he might stick around for a little while longer. Meanwhile, the Rangers are just looking for a way to get something going in this bottom of the 10th, trailing suddenly by 3. Andrus, who's delivered time and again in the first couple of games of this series, up there with a man on. Hits it on the ground, and that one is through. A base hit into right field. And it gets the potential tying run at the plate with nobody out.
Well, we're talking about the American League and National League All-Star voting early in the season, a third of the way through the season. That guy right there is playing like an all-star right now. In every facet, offensively, defensively, running the bases. He's got the hole between first and second. He shoots for it. First baseman holding the runner on. Need base runners. Last night it was a 400-plus foot home run to tie the game. Tonight he had a line drive in the gap to left center to put the Rangers ahead. Now trying to get a big rally to get back in this game. Down by 3 in the bottom of the 10th. First 2 men are on. Elvis with 3 hits and a walk tonight.
Another huge night for Elvis. Now Mazzara takes a good one for a strike. Mazzara has a base hit. He has walked as well. 6th in the American League with a .356 average with runners in scoring position. He's got Rua out there at second. Oh, and 2 the count. Colomé, 28 years old, out of the Dominican. Rocky start to his 10th inning tonight in his 2-strike pitch in the dirt. Last year, Colomé saved 37 for the Rays. His first run as a closer, did a real nice job for him. Long look in. Bouncer back to the mound, off of Colomé. But this shortstop Beckham able to recover, force out Andrus. They're 2 away. It's still 2 men on.
It's hard to tell on that ball. Was it right up the middle? And would it have gone into center field, or would Beckham have gotten over, fielded it right near the bag, and gotten a double play? Let's see if we can tell here. That's tough to tell. As it turned out, I think they're fortunate to get an out on that. It caromed right straight to the shortstop. Not an extremely hard hit ball, but Colomé blocked it, and they did get 1 out with it.
Off his glove, off his head, and then to Beckham. Colomé pitched in the opening game on Monday to get the save. Oh, look out, tied on Beltre. Only 14 of 16 in save opportunities this year. But the Rangers do have the tying run at the plate, bottom of the 10th. Beltre, the DH tonight. His 3rd game back after missing 51 games on the disabled list with that strained calf. It's 2-0. Rangers had homered in 14 straight games. Currently the longest active streak. The Indians have gone 16 in a row, including tonight. No home runs yet. 2-0. And that one lifted into short left field. Smith was way back there,
That's
racing
trouble.
on, and he can't get to it. It drops in. Rua scores. Beltre drops one in. And it's a 2-run game.
Well, that's one instance where playing safe can cost you a base runner. In that situation with a 3-run lead, managers will play their outfield extremely deep because they don't want the tying run to get in scoring position and hit a double. You can see how deep the outfield is playing so that Beltre can't hit a ball over their heads. But what happened was he hits one in front of him, and as fast as Smith is, he can't get to it, too far away from the shortstop. So under those, it's like a prevent defense, and the offensive team going with the short passes down the field. Had the prevent defense on, but it didn't prevent that blooper from falling in.
Delano to Shields on to pinch run for Beltre. Mazzara out at second base. Still just 1 out. 1 run across, tying runs are on. Odor represents the potential winning run. Rugi 1 for 4 in tonight's game. He takes a high strike. No, Odor's been in this spot before. Chance to win the game, bottom of the 10th inning. Bouncer right side. Quick shuffle to second. The throw to first in time, and the double play ends the Rangers' threat. They score a run, but they leave a man. And I think they made Colomé nervous, but couldn't quite get it done tonight. 7-5 the final score in 10 innings.
That's a nice job at turning the double play. Quick underhand feed from Robertson, and Beckham comes across the bag accurately to first base. And what looked promising for the Rangers turns into a save for Colomé.
Oh, what a frustrating way for this series to come to a conclusion. 7-5 the score in 10 innings. John Radigan, Pudge, Mike Bassick, they'll be back momentarily. A lot of player reaction and analysis of this one tonight. We'll be back as well. For Tom Grieve, Emily Jones, and our entire crew, I'm Dave Raymond. Thanks for watching. Stay with us. Rangers Live postgame show starts right after this.